The laughter still echoes in my ears sometimes, even 5 years later. It was Christmas dinner 2019, and I had just told my family about my business plan. My older brother Vincent was the first to crack up, nearly choking on his wine. My sister Miranda joined in, her perfectly manicured hand covering her mouth as she giggled. Even my parents, who I thought might show some support, exchanged one of those looks that said everything. Pizza delivery, Vincent wheezed, wiping tears from his eyes. That's your big business plan, Dylan? Delivering pizza. It's not just pizza delivery, I tried to explain, but Miranda cut me off. Oh, please don't tell me you're going to reinvent the wheel, she said, rolling her eyes. Pizza delivery has been around forever. What makes you think you can do it better than Papa John's or Domino's? My father, Richard, set down his fork and looked at me with that disappointed expression I'd grown accustomed to over the years. Son, I think it's time you got serious about your future. You're 25 years old. Vincent is already making 6 figures at his law firm, and Miranda just got promoted to regional manager. Maybe it's time to consider a real career. A real career. Those words stung because I knew what he really meant. Vincent had followed the family path: expensive college, prestigious job, country club membership. Miranda had done the same, climbing the corporate ladder at a Fortune 500 company. I was the disappointment, the one who had dropped out of college after 2 years because I couldn't afford it and refused to burden myself with crushing debt. I've been working in restaurants for 7 years, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I know this industry inside and out. I've seen what customers want, what they're not getting. This isn't just about delivering pizza, it's about creating an experience. More laughter from Vincent. An experience? It's food delivery, not Disney World. You have no idea what you're talking about, I said, feeling my temper rise. I've spent months researching this. I know exactly what gap I'm filling in the market. My mother, Patricia, reached over and patted my hand like I was still a child. Sweetie, we're just concerned about you. These little ventures of yours never seem to work out. Remember when you wanted to start that food truck or the catering thing? She was right about those failures, and it hurt to hear them thrown back at me. But this was different. This time I had a real plan, real savings, and real knowledge of what I was doing. This is different, I said quietly. That's what you always say, Vincent added. Look, little brother, not everyone is cut out to be an entrepreneur. There's no shame in getting a regular job. I could probably get you something entry-level at my firm. Nothing fancy, but it would be steady. The condescension in his voice made my stomach turn. I don't want your charity. It's not charity, my father said. It's family looking out for family. This pizza delivery idea is a fantasy, Dylan. The market is saturated. You'll burn through your savings in 6 months, and then what? You'll be 30 with nothing to show for it. I looked around the table at these people who shared my DNA but seemed to understand nothing about me. Vincent in his expensive suit, talking about his latest case. Miranda with her designer handbag, bragging about her sales numbers. My parents, who had given up on me years ago when I chose my own path instead of the one they had mapped out. You know what? I said, standing up from the table. When this works, and it will work, don't come asking for anything. Vincent laughed again. Trust me, little brother, I don't think that's going to be a problem. I left that night and didn't speak to any of them for 3 months. Not until my mother called, concerned that I was being dramatic and needed to apologize to the family for ruining Christmas. But I wasn't being dramatic. I was focused. I took the $30,000 I had saved from working double shifts at 3 different restaurants and started Dino Delivery. Not just another pizza delivery service, but a premium food delivery experience that partnered with high-end local restaurants that had never offered delivery before. My insight was simple. People wanted restaurant-quality food at home, but they wanted it to arrive hot, fresh, and presented beautifully. I bought specialized heated bags that kept food at perfect temperature for up to an hour. I hired drivers who dressed professionally and treated every delivery like they were serving in a 5-star restaurant. I negotiated exclusive partnerships with local chefs who were tired of losing business to chain delivery apps. The first month was brutal. I was working 18-hour days, taking orders, making deliveries, managing drivers, and handling customer service. I lived on ramen noodles and coffee, sleeping on a mattress on the floor of my studio apartment. But it worked. Word spread quickly in our city. Food bloggers started writing about us. Local news did a feature story. Business exploded. By the end of year 1, I have 15 drivers and partnerships with 40 restaurants. Year 2, I expanded to 3 neighboring cities. Year 3, I was franchising the model to other entrepreneurs in different states. During all of this, my family's attitude toward me didn't change much. I'd see them at obligatory family gatherings, and they asked how my little delivery business was going with barely concealed amusement. When I told them I was expanding to new cities, Vincent would nod politely and change the subject to his latest court victory. When I mentioned franchising, Miranda would say something like, "That's nice," and start talking about her vacation to Europe. They didn't take me seriously until the acquisition offer came in. Chef Connect, a major food delivery corporation, offered me $5.2 million for Dino Delivery, not just for the business, but for the brand, the partnerships, the operational model, and my agreement to stay on as a consultant for 2 years. I didn't tell my family about the offer right away. I was still deciding whether to accept it or continue growing independently. But somehow word leaked out, maybe through my accountant's wife, who was friends with my mother. Maybe through the local business journal that covered the story. However they found out, the phone calls started immediately. "Dylan, sweetheart." My mother's voice was sugary sweet, completely different from the dismissive tone she used for years. "I heard the most wonderful news. We're so proud of you." Proud, after 5 years of treating my business like a hobby. "Thanks, Mom," I said carefully. "We should celebrate. Why don't you come over for dinner this weekend? The whole family wants to hear about your success." I almost laughed. The whole family that had mocked me, dismissed me, and written me off. Now they wanted to celebrate. But curiosity got the better of me. I agreed to come to dinner. It was surreal walking into that same dining room where they had laughed at my pizza delivery idea. The same table, the same chairs, but everything felt different. Vincent greeted me with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Miranda hugged me and gushed about how innovative I was. My parents beamed like I was their star child. "We always knew you had it in you," my father said, raising his wine glass and a toast. "Here's to Dylan and his incredible success." The hypocrisy was breathtaking, but I played along, curious to see where this was heading. After dinner, Vincent pulled me aside into my father's study. "Listen, Dylan, I owe you an apology. I was wrong about your business. You proved all of us wrong." "I appreciate that," I said, though his tone still carried that familiar condescension. "The thing is," he continued, "I've been thinking. This acquisition offer, it's amazing, but have you considered what comes next? I mean, $5 million is a lot of money, but you're going to need help managing it. Investments, tax strategies, that kind of thing." Here it comes, I thought. "I'd like to help you," Vincent said. "As your brother. Maybe we could form a family investment group. Pool our resources, make some real money together." "Pool our resources?" I asked. "What resources are you bringing to this pool?" Vincent looked surprised by the question. "Well, my legal expertise, my connections in the business world. Miranda has her corporate experience. Dad has this financial background." What he didn't mention was money, because none of them had money to invest. Vincent made good money as a lawyer, but he spent it all on his lifestyle. Miranda was drowning in credit card debt from trying to keep up appearances. My parents were living paycheck to paycheck since my father's early retirement. "That's interesting," I said. "What kind of split were you thinking?" "Well, since we're family, I was thinking equal shares. Split everything 4 ways." I stared at him. "You want me to give you 75% of my money in exchange for your advice?" "It's not giving," Vincent said quickly. "It's partnering. We're family, Dylan. Family shares everything." There it was, the exact phrase that would become their rallying cry over the next few months. I declined Vincent's generous offer to take 3/4 of my money. That's when things got interesting. Suddenly, every family gathering became an intervention. They tag-teamed me with reasons why I needed their help managing my windfall. Miranda would talk about the importance of diversifying investments. My father would lecture me about tax implications. My mother would guilt me about family loyalty. "We supported you when you were struggling," she'd say, which was news to me since I remembered them doing the exact opposite. "You can't just abandon your family now that you're successful," my father would add. "We invested in you emotionally. That has value." The emotional investment argument was particularly galling. What emotional investment? The years of mockery? the constant suggestions that I get a real job, the dismissive comments about my little business. But they kept pushing. Vincent started showing up at my apartment unannounced with investment proposals. Miranda would text me links to articles about successful family businesses. My parents would call daily to remind me that family was the most important thing. The breaking point came 6 months later. I was working late in my home office, reviewing the final details of the acquisition deal, when I heard voices outside my apartment. Loud, argumentative voices. I looked out the window and saw my entire family standing in the parking lot. Vincent was gesturing wildly while talking on his phone. Miranda was holding a folder of documents. My parents were just standing there looking determined. Then they started walking toward my building. I watched them march up the stairs. I heard them arguing in the hallway about who should knock first. Finally, Vincent's voice boomed through my door. "Dylan, open up. We need to talk." I considered pretending I wasn't home, but I knew they'd just keep coming back. Better to end this once and for all. I opened the door to find all 4 of them standing there with grim expressions. "We tried to do this the easy way," Vincent said, pushing past me into my apartment. "But you're being unreasonable." The others followed him in uninvited. Miranda set her folder on my coffee table. My parents positioned themselves by the door like they were blocking my escape route. "This has gone on long enough," my father said. "You're being selfish, Dylan. Family helps family." "I have a proposal," Miranda announced, opening her folder. "We've had lawyers draw up papers. A family LLC that would manage your acquisition money. Equal shares for everyone, with you as the managing partner." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You hired lawyers to steal my money." "It's not stealing," Vincent said. "It's smart business. You can't handle this kind of money alone. You'll blow it all on another harebrained scheme. Like the harebrained scheme that just sold for $5 million. I asked. "That was luck," my mother said. "Lightning doesn't strike twice. You need us to keep you grounded." I looked at these people, my blood relatives, who had shown up at my home with legal documents designed to separate me from my money. The same people who had laughed at my dreams, dismissed my efforts, and written me off as a failure. "Get out," I said quietly. "Dylan, don't be dramatic," Miranda said. "Just look at the proposal. It's fair to everyone." "Get out," I shouted. They exchanged glances. Vincent stepped forward. "We're not leaving until you sign this. We're your family. We deserve a share of the success." That's when I made a decision that changed everything. I pulled out my phone and called building security. "Hi, this is Dylan Martinez in apartment 4B. I have 4 people in my apartment who are refusing to leave. I need them escorted out immediately." "You can't be serious," my mother gasped. "Try me," I said. 5 minutes later, 2 security guards arrived. Professional, no-nonsense guys who had dealt with this kind of situation before. "These folks bothering you?" the older guard asked. "They are," I said. "They've been asked to leave and are refusing." "Folks," the guard said to my family, "you need to exit the building now." "This is ridiculous," Vincent protested. "We're his family." "Family or not," the guard replied, "he's asked you to leave. You can do it voluntarily or we can call the police." I watched my family file out of my apartment in stunned silence, but Vincent couldn't resist one parting shot. "You'll regret this, Dylan," he called from the hallway. "When you lose everything, don't come crying to us." After they left, I sat in my apartment for a long time, thinking about what had just happened. These people had shown their true colors. They didn't want to celebrate my success or share in my happiness. They wanted to profit from my work. I accepted the acquisition offer the next week. $5.2 million, paid in full. I also made some other decisions. I hired a wealth management firm to handle my investments. I bought a beautiful house in a gated community with excellent security. I started a scholarship fund for entrepreneurship students at the community college where I had taken business classes. And I changed my phone number. For 6 months, I heard nothing from my family. Then the calls started coming through mutual relatives. Aunts and uncles would call to tell me that my parents were hurt by my behavior. Cousins would reach out to suggest that I was being too harsh and should forgive and forget. But I remembered something my grandfather used to tell me before he passed away. "Show me who your friends are when you have nothing, and I'll tell you who your real family is when you have everything." My real family, it turned out, wasn't the people who shared my last name. It was the chef who gave me my first break in the restaurant business. It was the driver who worked for me even when I could barely afford to pay him. It was the business mentor who believed in my vision when everyone else laughed. A year after the acquisition, I started my second company. This time, it was a business incubator focused on helping young entrepreneurs who couldn't get traditional funding. I called it Second Chance Ventures because everyone deserves a second chance to prove themselves. The grand opening was covered by the local media. The mayor cut the ribbon. Successful business leaders spoke about the importance of supporting new entrepreneurs. My family wasn't invited. But that didn't stop them from showing up. I was giving a tour to potential investors when I saw them through the window. All four of them, dressed in their best clothes, walking toward the entrance like they belonged there. I excused myself from the tour and met them at the front door. "Congratulations, sweetheart," my mother gushed, trying to hug me. "We're so proud of what you've accomplished." "This is private event," I said calmly. "You weren't invited." "Don't be silly," Vincent said, pushing forward. "We're family. We belong here." I looked at the security guard I had hired for the event. He was already moving toward us. "These people need to be removed from the premises," I told him. "Dylan," my father protested, "you can't do this to your own family." "You did this to yourselves," I replied. "You made it clear that the only thing you cared about was my money. Well, now that money is locked up in investments and trust funds that you can't touch. So what use do you have for me now?" The security guard, a different one this time, but just as professional, stepped between me and my family. "Folks, I'm going to need you to leave the property," he said firmly. As they were escorted out, Miranda called back to me. "This isn't over, Dylan. You can't cut out your family forever." But she was wrong. I could, and I did. That was 3 years ago. Dino Delivery has become a major player in the premium food delivery market under its new corporate ownership. Second Chance Ventures has funded over 50 new businesses, 12 of which have already been acquired or gone public. I'm worth significantly more now than I was when I sold my first company. But you know what? The phone doesn't ring anymore with family members wanting to help me manage my money. I get Christmas cards occasionally, updates on family events I'm not invited to, passive-aggressive messages through relatives about how I've changed and become too good for my family. But I sleep well at night in my beautiful house, knowing that every dollar I have was earned through my own hard work. No one gave it to me, no one can take it away from me, and most importantly, no one can claim they deserve a piece of it just because we happen to share some DNA. Vincent still practices law, though I heard his firm let him go last year for some client relations issues. Miranda lost her corporate job during the pandemic and is now selling insurance. My parents are still living paycheck to paycheck, though they've moved to a smaller house. Sometimes I wonder if they've learned anything from this experience, if they understand that family isn't about what you can take from each other, but what you're willing to give. But then I remember that Christmas dinner 5 years ago. The laughter when I shared my dreams, the dismissiveness when I explained my plans, the assumption that I would fail. Some people will only see you as valuable when you have something they want. Those people aren't your family, even if they share your blood. Real family celebrates your success without asking what's in it for them. Real family supports your dreams even when they don't understand them. Real family loves you for who you are, not what you can do for them. I found my real family among the entrepreneurs I mentor, the employees who believed in my vision, and the friends who knew me when I was delivering pizza in a beat-up Honda Civic. And that family is worth more than $5 million. It's priceless.
I always thought the worst moment of my life would feel more dramatic. Instead, it happened on a perfectly ordinary Tuesday morning while I was eating yogurt at my desk. Your available balance is $12.47. I blinked at my phone screen, then refreshed the banking app. Same number. I refreshed again, my heart starting to pound. Yesterday, that number had been $65,173.20. My house fund, built up over 6 years of overtime shifts and skipped vacations. My name is Ingrid, and this is the story of how my parents stole my future to save my brother's ass. Again. "Genesis!" I called across our shared office. "I need you to look at something." My best friend rolled her chair over, frowning at my phone. "That can't be right. Did you get hacked?" I was already dialing my bank. 20 minutes and 3 customer service representatives later, I had my answer. The money had been withdrawn yesterday afternoon, in person at my local branch, by my mother, who was still listed as a joint account holder from when she'd helped me open it at 16. I hadn't even known she could still access it. My hands shook as I dialed her number. She answered on the first ring, like she'd been waiting. "Ingrid, honey, I was just about to call you. Can you come over tonight? Your father and I need to discuss something important." "The $65,000 you took from my account?" My voice cracked. "That kind of important?" A pause. "Yes, well, it's about Luca. He's in trouble, sweetheart. Real trouble this time. Come over at 7 and we'll explain everything." She hung up before I could respond. I made it through the workday somehow, though Genesis had to talk me out of the bathroom twice when I broke down crying. At 7:01 p.m, I walked into my parents' house to find them sitting at the kitchen table with Luca. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "Sit down, Ingrid," Dad said, using his reasonable voice, the one that meant he'd already decided everything and was just waiting for everyone else to fall in line. I'd rather stand. "Your brother made some mistakes," Mum began, reaching for Luca's hand. "He got in over his head with some very dangerous people. They were threatening him, sweetheart. We had to act fast." "So you stole my money?" The words felt like glass in my throat. "Borrowed," Dad corrected, "and it wasn't stealing. Your mother's name was on the account." "To help me save for a house," I was shouting now. "My house, the one I've been working towards since I was 21. "You're being dramatic," Luca finally spoke, rolling his eyes. "It's just money. You can save it up again." I stared at him, my golden boy brother, wearing designer jeans that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget. "How much did you lose gambling this time?" "That's not important," Mum cut in. "What matters is family. Family protects each other. You wouldn't want anything to happen to your brother, would you?" "What matters," I said slowly, "is that you stole $65,000 from your daughter to bail out your son. Again." "You've always been the responsible one," Dad said, like it was a compliment. "The strong one. Luca needs more support right now." "Support?" I laughed, and it sounded horrible. "You mean enablement? Theft?" "We'll pay you back," Mom promised, but I saw the lie in her eyes. They always promised to pay me back. "When?" I demanded. "How?" Silence. That's what I thought. I turned to leave, then stopped. "You know what the worst part is? You didn't even ask me first. You didn't even give me the choice to say no." "Because you would have said no," Luca burst out. "You're so fucking perfect, aren't you? Never make mistakes, never need help." "Help?" I whirled back. "Is that what you call this? Help?" "Ingrid," Mum's voice took on that wounded tone I'd heard my whole life. "We're family, we have to stick together." I looked at them, really looked. My mother's practiced concern, my father's stern dismissal, Luca's entitled anger. They'd never change. They'd never even try. "You're right," I said quietly. "We are family, and family should face consequences together too." I walked out, deleted their numbers from my phone, and drove to Genesis's apartment. As I sat on her couch that night, something cold and certain crystallized in my chest. They wanted family loyalty. I'd give them the kind that shows up in certified mail. "You're going full nuclear option, aren't you?" Genesis pushed her lunch salad around with a fork, studying my face across the break room table. "I know that look." I was hunched over my laptop, scrolling through bank statements. "Did you know there's no gift tax exemption for amounts over 15,000? Funny how that works." "Girl, slow down. You can't just nuke your parents and expect to feel better." "Watch me." I turned the screen to show her a series of screenshots. "Look at these transfers. This isn't the first time they've helped Luca this year. 5,000 in March, 8,000 in June, all from their accounts, but now I'm wondering where that money really came from." Genesis leaned forward. "What do you mean?" Remember when I couldn't go to Cancun with you guys last spring because my car suddenly needed $3,000 in repairs? Yeah? Guess what showed up in Luca's Venmo history 3 days later? A $3,000 payment to someone called Lucky 7 Valley 7. Genesis's fork clattered against her plate. No way. They've been stealing from me in bits and pieces for years. I just never connected the dots. My phone buzzed. Another voicemail from Mum. I deleted it without listening. Have you talked to Luca? Genesis asked. Maybe if you confronted him. Already tried. He's not answering my calls. I pulled up another screen. But his Instagram sure is active. Check out what he posted yesterday. Genesis leaned in to look at the photo of Luca posing next to a shiny used Mustang. The caption read, "Sometimes life gives you second chances." That son of a... Genesis caught herself. When was this posted? Yesterday afternoon, right after I found out about my missing money. I clicked through more bank statements. And look what I found buried in these transfers. $10,000 to Capital City Auto Sales. From your money? Bingo. Genesis sat back, shaking her head. So they didn't even use all of it to pay off his gambling debts? Apparently not. I closed my laptop. You know what the real kicker is? I found an email Mum sent Luca last week. She told him not to worry, that Ingrid always understands, and she'll bounce back like always. That's messed up. That's family. I pulled out a thick packet of forms I'd printed that morning. You know what else is family? Gift taxes. The IRS considers any amount over $15,000 to be taxable. And guess who's legally required to report it? Genesis's eyes widened. The givers? Your parents? Who conveniently forgot to file a Form 709 for their very generous gift to Luca. I started filling out the first page. Funny how that works. Ingrid, Genesis touched my arm. Are you sure about this? Once you start something with the IRS, they stole my future, I cut her off. My house, my independence. And they did it without a second thought, because they knew I'd understand, because I always understand. I get that, but no, I looked up from the forms. You don't get it. This isn't just about the money. It's about every time they've chosen him over me, every time they've taken from me to give to him, every time they've expected me to just accept it, because I'm the responsible one. My phone buzzed again. A text from Dad this time. Your mother's crying, call us. I blocked his number. You know what the worst part is? I continued filling out the form. I found more emails. Mum's been planning this for weeks. They knew exactly what they were doing when they kept my name off that account. They were just waiting for the right moment to drain it. Genesis was quiet for a moment. What are you hoping happens? Justice. I signed the bottom of the first page. Pure and simple, they broke the law, they stole from me. Now they get to face the consequences. And Luca gets to learn that Mustangs don't protect you from the IRS. I started on the next page. You know what Mum always says? Family protects family. Well, maybe it's time they learned what it feels like when family turns on them instead. Genesis watched me work in silence for a while. Finally, she said, just be careful, okay? Revenge has a way of burning everyone involved. I thought about my empty savings account, about years of sacrificed dreams, about that smug look on Luca's face in his Instagram post. Some things, I said quietly, are worth getting burned for. I found Luca at Murphy's bar, exactly where I knew he'd be. Thursday nights were half-price wings, and my brother never could resist a bargain, as long as someone else was paying. Hey, sis, he grinned when I slid onto the bar stool next to him. Finally decided to stop ignoring my texts. Finally decided to tell me about the Mustang. His grin faltered for just a second. Oh, that. Just a little something to help get back on my feet. You know how it is. Need reliable transportation for work and all that. Funny, I signalled the bartender. Vodka tonic, please. So the $10,000 from my savings that went to Capital City auto sales, that was for work. Luca's face did something complicated. Look, it's not what you think. Really? Because I think you took my money I saved for 6 years, and bought a sports car instead of paying your gambling debts. I did pay them, he lowered his voice, glancing around. Most of them anyway. But Gabriel was being unreasonable about the interest, and I needed something to show for all this. You know, investment. Investment? The vodka tonic arrived. I took a long sip. Is that what we're calling theft now? Come on, Ingrid. He tried for his charming smile, the one that always worked on Mom. You know I'm good for it, once things turn around. Like they turned around after you lost your college fund, or after you emptied Dad's emergency savings, or maybe like they turned around after you borrowed against Mum's retirement. His smile vanished. They told you about that? No, they didn't tell me anything. I had to find out by digging through old emails. I pulled out my phone, just like I had to find out about this. I showed him the email from Mom. Don't worry, sweetie. Ingrid always understands. She bounces back like always. That's... He shifted uncomfortably. That's taken out of context. Then give me the context, Luca. Explain to me how any of this is okay. He took a long pull from his beer. You don't understand what it's like. The pressure, the need to make things right. One big win, and I could fix everything. The Mustang was going to give you that big win. It's not just any Mustang, he said defensively. It was for Sarah. You remember Sarah? The girl you were dating last month. Yeah, she really liked it. Said it showed I was getting my life together. He stared into his beer. She dumped me anyway. I felt something between a laugh and a scream build in my throat. So you stole my house fund to buy a car for a girl who dumped you? Borrowed, he corrected automatically. And Mum said... Mum said what? That it was okay to steal from me, that I'd understand? You always do. The words exploded out of him. That's your thing, isn't it? Perfect Ingrid, always understanding, always cleaning up everyone else's messes. Must be nice, being so much better than everyone else. Better? I slammed my glass down. You think this is about being better? This is about being used, about being treated like your personal piggy bank because Mum and Dad decided you're more important than me. That's not true. Really? When's the last time they helped me with anything? When's the last time they sacrificed for me instead of you? He was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he mumbled, You don't need the help. You're, stable. I was stable, I corrected. I was going to buy a house. Now I have $12.47 in my account. I'll pay you back, he said. But the words were slurred. He'd had more than the one beer I'd seen. Once things turn around, once I get back on track, save it. I stood up. I didn't come here for promises. Then why did you come? I looked at my brother. Really looked at him. The designer clothes bought with stolen money. The keys to my future sitting in his pocket, probably already traded for a car he'd wreck or sell when he needed his next gambling fix. I came to give you a chance to make it right, I said quietly. To come clean, to face what you did. But you can't, can you? You'll never change. Ingrid. The IRS has a form called a 709, I cut him off. You should look it up. Mum and Dad are about to become very familiar with it. His face went pale. You wouldn't? I thought about Mum's email, about always understanding, about always bouncing back. Watch me, I said, and walked out of the bar. That night, I finished filling out the form. My hand didn't shake once as I signed it. The post office clerk barely looked up as I handed over the thick envelope. Certified mail? Yes. I watched her attach the tracking label. With return receipt, please. Form 709, gift tax return. 8 pages of meticulously documented transfers, complete with bank statements, emails, and timestamps, a nuclear bomb disguised as paperwork. My phone buzzed, another blocked call from Mom. They'd been coming hourly since my conversation with Luca last night. I silenced it without looking. "That'll be $7.25, the clerk said. Best $8 I'd ever spent. Later that night, I sat on Genesis's couch, nursing a glass of wine. "It's done." "How do you feel?" "Honestly." I stared into my glass. "I don't even care about the money anymore. I just want them to feel what I felt. That moment of panic when you realize someone you trusted has betrayed you." "Girl," Genesis topped off my glass, "they're still your parents." "Are they? Because parents are supposed to protect their children. All of them, not just the ones who screw up the most." My phone lit up with a Facebook notification. Victoria, my mum's busybody friend from church, had posted, "Praying for the Emerson family tonight. Can't believe they had to sell poor Ingrid's college fund again to help Luca. Some people never learn." Genesis peered at my screen. "How did she—" "Mom probably told her looking for sympathy." I laughed bitterly. She always does this, plays the martyred mother role while throwing me under the bus. The comments are blowing up. They were. Dozens of reactions, mostly shocked faces and angry emojis. Comments ranging from "this isn't the first time" to "poor Ingrid" to "someone needs to cut that boy off." My phone rang again, Dad this time, from a new number. "You should answer it," Genesis said softly. "At least hear them out." I hit decline. They had their chance to talk, multiple chances. Now they can talk to the IRS. As if on cue, my phone buzzed with a text from Luca. "What the hell did you do? Some lady named Simone Cooper just called Dad about unreported gifts." "That was fast," Genesis remarked, reading over my shoulder. "The IRS doesn't mess around with gift tax evasion." I blocked Luca's number too, especially not when it's this much money. What happens now? Now? I took another sip of wine. Now they get to experience consequences, maybe for the first time in their lives. My email pinged. A message from Mum, subject line, "How could you?" I opened it. "Ingrid, your father just got off the phone with the IRS. How could you do this to your family? We raised you better than this. Luca is devastated. He trusted you. We all trusted you. If you don't fix this immediately, you'll destroy this family. Is that what you want? To tear us apart over money? Call me as soon as you get this." "Mom?" "Wow," Genesis said after reading it. "She's still trying to make you the bad guy." "Always has." I deleted the email. Notice how she's more worried about the family's reputation than the fact that they stole my money. You really think they'll face consequences? The IRS doesn't play around with unreported gifts over $15,000. They'll get hit with fines, penalties, maybe even an audit. I finished my wine, and once that happens, everything comes out. Every sketchy transfer, every covered-up gambling debt, every lie. And Luca gets to learn that Mustangs can be repossessed. My phone lit up again, this time with a voicemail notification. Dad's voice, angry and scared. "Ingrid, this IRS agent is asking questions we can't answer. If you don't call me back right now and fix this, I swear to God." I deleted it before the threat finished. "You know what the funny thing is?" I said to Genesis. "I keep waiting to feel guilty, to feel bad about what I'm doing to them, but all I feel is relief." Relief? Yeah, like I'm finally standing up for myself, like I'm finally saying no more to being their emotional ATM. Genesis was quiet for a moment. What if they try to press charges? For what? Reporting their tax evasion. Everything I submitted was true. They're the ones who broke the law, not me. My phone buzzed one final time, a text from Victoria. "Ingrid, honey, your mother is crying at Bible study. Please call her. Family is everything." I turned off my phone completely. "Family is everything," I echoed. That's what they always said, but they never meant my part of the family, did they? Genesis squeezed my hand. You're my family now. I squeezed back, thinking about that certified mail receipt in my purse. Sometimes family is who you choose, and sometimes family is who you choose to walk away from. The IRS moves faster than you'd expect. 2 weeks after I mailed that form, Dad's lawyer called me at work. Miss Emerson, this is Robert Kane. Your father asked me to reach out regarding the current situation. You mean the tax fraud investigation? A sharp intake of breath. That's a serious accusation, one that could have severe consequences for your entire family. I'm aware. Your father is willing to negotiate. Perhaps we could schedule a meeting. Everything I know is already in the IRS's hands, I cut him off. Have a nice day. I hung up to find Genesis standing in my office doorway. Lawyer calls already? That was fast. Dad's panicking. I showed her the string of texts I'd received that morning. Threats, pleading, guilt trips, the whole spectrum. Mum's been calling everyone we know, telling them I'm having some kind of breakdown. Speaking of your mum, Genesis nodded toward the office entrance. My mother stood there, mascara streaked down her face. Ingrid, please, we need to talk. I'm working. They're auditing us, her voice cracked. Do you know what this will do to our reputation? The church committee has already asked me to step down. That must be difficult for you. I kept my voice flat, almost as difficult as having your life savings stolen. We're your parents. Really, because parents protect their children. They don't steal from them. We were protecting Luca. By sacrificing me! The words exploded out of me. Every single time you choose him, every mistake, every bad decision, every gambling debt, you clean it up by taking from me. That's not. Remember when I was 16? My hands shook as I stood up. Luca vandalized Mr. Peterson's car, spray-painted it because he gave him a C-. You took my college fund to pay for the repairs. We paid you back. No, you didn't. You promised to, just like you promised to pay back the $3,000 you borrowed for my car repairs, the money you gave straight to Luca for his gambling debts. Genesis touched my arm. Ingrid, maybe we should... You want to know the worst part? I continued, ignoring her. I found Luca's bookie, Gabriel Hill. He says he never got the full payment. So where did my money really go? Mum's face went white. That's what I thought. I sat back down. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have work to do. The IRS investigator is coming tomorrow, she whispered. Simone Cooper. She wants to see all our financial records. Then I suggest you start getting them in order. Mum left, shoulders shaking. Genesis watched her go. You okay? No. I pressed my palms against my eyes. But I will be. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. We need to talk about your brother's debts. Gabriel. Before I could respond, Victoria burst into my office. Ingrid, I just heard. Your father's business partner is pulling out because of the audit. How could you do this to them? The same way they could steal my house fund, I guess. But they're your family, and now everyone knows about their problems. She lowered her voice dramatically. The whole church is talking. Good. I met her eyes. Let them talk. After she left, Genesis perched on my desk. You know this is going to get worse before it gets better, right? It has to get worse. I showed her Gabriel's text. The truth always does. My phone rang again. Simone Cooper from the IRS. Miss Emerson, I'd like to schedule a meeting to discuss the gift tax report you filed. Of course. We've uncovered some concerning patterns in your family's financial history. Would tomorrow at 2 p.m. work? I thought about Mum's tears, Dad's threats, Luca's lies. Tomorrow's perfect. After I hung up, Genesis studied my face. You're really going to do this? Tell them everything. Everything? I pulled out a folder. 6 years of documented transfers, screenshots, emails, no more protecting them, no more understanding. And Luca's bookie gets to explain to the IRS where that money really went. I smiled, but it felt more like baring teeth. Funny how karma works. My phone lit up with one final text from Luca. "They're going to take the Mustang. Hope you're happy." I was. For the first time in weeks, I really was. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's just the quiet click of consequences finally catching up to the people who thought they'd never face them. And tomorrow at 2 p.m, those consequences would arrive in the form of an IRS investigator who didn't care about family loyalty or mother's tears. She only cared about the truth. The fallout happened faster than even I expected. By Friday, Dad's business partner had pulled out of their joint venture, citing liability concerns. Mum lost her position as treasurer of the church committee. And Luca? His friends started disappearing the moment they realized his endless supply of money had run dry. "Your brother's car got repossessed yesterday," Genesis told me over lunch. "It's all over Facebook." I scrolled through my feed, past the sympathetic posts and crying emojis. "Play stupid games, win stupid prizes." "Victoria's running her mouth again. Says your dad had to cancel their country club membership." "Tragic." I took a bite of my sandwich. "Maybe they can use the membership fees to pay their tax penalties instead." My phone buzzed. Gabriel again. He'd been trying to reach me all week. "You going to answer him eventually?" "And say what? Sorry, my brother's a degenerate gambler who lies about paying his debts?" Genesis leaned forward. "You really think Luca lied about where the money went?" "I know he did. Gabriel told the IRS investigators that he only received 20,000, not 65. I showed her the case notes Simone had shared. The rest? Who knows? Probably buried under a mountain of lies, just like everything else with Luca. A shadow fell across our table. Mum stood there, holding a worn cardboard box. "Can we talk?" Her voice was rough, like she'd been crying. "Please?" Genesis squeezed my hand and left us alone. Mum sat down, pushing the box toward me. "What's this?" "Your things, from when you were little." She opened it, pulling out old photos, school awards, my childhood diary. I thought you might want them." "Now? After everything?" "The church asked me to resign from all committees." Her hands trembled. "Your father's partner. 30 years of friendship gone. Because of an audit." "Because of theft," I corrected. "Don't pretend this is about anything else." "We were trying to protect him." "By destroying me?" I picked up my old diary, remembering the girl who wrote in it, who still believed in fairness, in family. "Did you know I found my entry from my 13th birthday, when you promised me money for a bike, then gave it to Luca for a gaming console instead?" She flinched. "You wrote me a note that day," I continued. "Said sometimes we have to sacrifice for family, that I was such a good sister for understanding." I met her eyes. "I believed you back then. Believed every lie you told about how things would be different next time." "We never meant to get caught." I pushed the box back toward her. "Keep it. I don't need reminders of all the times you chose him over me." "The IRS is freezing our accounts," she whispered. "They're talking about penalties, fines. Your father might lose his business license." "That's what happens when you commit tax fraud." "Is that what you wanted? To destroy us?" I thought about my empty savings account, about years of broken promises and stolen dreams. "No, Mom, I wanted you to face consequences. For once in your lives, I wanted you and Dad and Luca to understand what it feels like to lose everything. We're still your family." "Are we? Because family doesn't steal from each other. Family doesn't justify theft with understanding. Family doesn't—" My phone buzzed again. "Gabriel." This time I answered. "What?" Your brother owes me 40 grand, he said without preamble. Not 20, not 65, 40, and I've got the receipts to prove it. Mum's face went pale as she heard his voice. So where did the rest of my money go? I asked, watching her. Because someone's lying about the numbers, and I'm starting to think it's not just Luca. Ask your parents, Gabriel said. Ask them about the transfers to their personal accounts, the ones that never made it to me. I hung up, staring at my mother. Want to explain? She stood up so quickly the box fell, spilling photos across the floor. I have to go. Mom? I'm sorry, she whispered, and fled. I looked down at the scattered photos. Me at graduation holding my diploma. Luca at his first casino, grinning with a stack of chips. Mum and Dad at their anniversary dinner, paid for with money that was supposed to be for my car repairs. A lifetime of lies, captured in Kodak moments. My phone buzzed one last time. Simone Cooper. Miss Emerson, we've found some discrepancies in your parents' personal accounts. Would you be available to review them tomorrow? I typed back yes and watched Mum's retreating figure through the window. Sometimes karma doesn't just come for the guilty. Sometimes it comes for everyone who helped hide their sins. And tomorrow, those sins would finally see the light. Simone Cooper didn't look like an avenging angel. She looked like someone's stern aunt, with reading glasses and sensible shoes. But when she opened that folder in the IRS office, I saw my parents' world end in columns of numbers. The total unreported gifts exceed $200,000 over the past 3 years, she said, tapping her pen against the spreadsheet. Not just your $65,000, Miss Emerson. There were multiple transfers from retirement accounts, home equity loans, and personal savings. Dad sat rigid in his chair. Mum kept dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. And as for the most recent transfer, Simone adjusted her glasses. Only $40,000 went to Mr. Hill for gambling debts. The remaining $25,000 was divided between personal purchases and transfers to your parents' accounts. That's not true, Luca protested from his chair. I needed all of it for... We have the bank records, Simone cut him off, including receipts for a used Mustang, several designer purchases, and, she checked her notes, a weekend in Las Vegas. I felt oddly calm. So they didn't just steal my money, they helped him hide it. Ingrid, please, Mum whispered. The IRS takes gift tax evasion very seriously, Simone continued, especially when it involves multiple instances of unreported transfers exceeding the annual exclusion limit. What does that mean? Dad's voice was hoarse. It means penalties, significant ones. She pulled out another document. We're looking at fines of up to 40% of the unreported amounts, plus interest. And given the pattern of evasion, we'll be conducting a full audit of your finances going back 5 years. Luca went pale. 5 years? Additionally, Simone turned to my parents, your business accounts will be subject to review. Any licenses or certifications may be suspended pending investigation. Dad put his head in his hands. This is all your fault. Mum suddenly turned on me. We were helping family. How could you do this to us? Mrs. Emerson, Simone's voice could have frozen fire. Your daughter didn't commit tax fraud. You did, along with theft, as those accounts were accessed without proper authorization. But we had access. Joint account access doesn't grant legal right to transfer funds without consent. Simone closed her folder. You'll receive formal notice of the penalties within 30 days. I suggest you retain legal counsel. Outside the IRS office, Luca tried to catch my arm. Ingrid, wait! Don't touch me! I can explain. Explain what? How you used my money for a Vegas trip while Mum and Dad covered for you, or how they helped you hide it. We were going to pay you back. With what? I turned to face my family. The money you stole from my car repair fund, or maybe the money you took from Mum's retirement. Face it, you're all just thieves in different packaging. That's enough, Dad stepped forward. You've made your point. You've destroyed this family. Are you happy now? I looked at them, really looked. Mum's mascara-streaked face, Dad's trembling hands, Luca's designer clothes that probably still had price tags on them. Happy? No. Satisfied? Yes. I stepped back. You taught me well, you know. All those years of watching you cover up Luca's mistakes, justify his theft, enable his addiction. I learned exactly how to destroy someone's life while claiming it's for their own good. Please, Mum reached for me. We can fix this, as a family. We're not family anymore, I pulled away. We're just people who share DNA and a case number with the IRS. My phone buzzed, Genesis asking if I was okay. The letters will arrive in 30 days, I said, walking away. Don't bother trying to contact me before then, or after. Ingrid, Mum called after me. You can't just leave. But I could, and I did. That night, Genesis brought wine to my apartment. So, it's done? Almost. I showed her the final numbers on my phone. They'll owe about $80,000 in penalties and back taxes. Dad's business license is suspended pending review. And Luca, I laughed hollowly. Luca's Vegas photos just got him flagged for additional income investigation. How do you feel? I thought about Mum's tears, Dad's anger, Luca's lies. Empty, I admitted. I thought I'd feel, I don't know, triumphant. Instead, I just feel tired. Maybe that's the point, Genesis said softly. Maybe revenge isn't supposed to feel good. Maybe it's just supposed to feel final. My phone lit up with a text from Simone. Final notices prepared, will be mailed Monday. I blocked my family's numbers one last time and looked out my window at the city lights. Somewhere out there, my parents were probably crying. Luca was probably lying, and karma was finally catching up to all of them. So, Genesis raised her glass. Now what? I didn't answer. Some questions don't need answers, they just need time. The apartment lease felt heavy in my hands. Not my dream house, but it was mine. No joint accounts, no family access, no strings attached. Just need your signature here, the leasing agent said. As I signed, my phone buzzed. A letter had arrived at my old address. Genesis had been checking my mail. It's from your dad, she texted. Want me to open it? Please. A moment later, she sent me a photo of the letter. See, Ingrid, the final IRS notices came today. They're seizing the house. Your mother can't stop crying. Luca's been served with additional tax liens. Everything we built over 40 years, gone. I hope you're satisfied with what you've done. You've removed yourself from this family for good. I raised you better than this. Dad? I handed the lease back to the agent. When can I move in? Keys are yours now. My phone rang. Genesis. You okay? She asked. That letter was pretty harsh. I'm fine. I walked out into the sunshine. Actually, I need a favour. Help me go shopping. For what? Everything. Furniture, dishes, decorations. I'm starting fresh. An hour later, we stood in the middle of Home Goods, my cart filling with new plates, new towels, new everything. You sure about this? Genesis asked as I added another throw pillow. It's a lot of money. I'm starting over, I said. No hand-me-downs, no family heirlooms, no memories, just mine. My phone buzzed again. Victoria, of course. Your mother's being treated for anxiety attacks. Your father's business is closing. Is this what you wanted? I blocked her number. They're still trying to make you the villain, Genesis observed. They always will. I picked up a coffee mug with Fresh Start written on it. But here's what they don't understand. I'm not the villain or the hero. I'm just someone who finally stopped playing by their rules. We loaded my purchases into Genesis's car when another text came through from Gabriel. Your brother's in trouble again, deeper this time. Don't worry, I won't let him drag you into it. Block him too? No, I said. Keep that one. Might need it someday. At my new apartment, we started unpacking. Everything new, everything mine. No history, no guilt, no obligation. Letter came from the IRS too, Genesis said, pulling it from her purse. Inside was a formal notice, case closed, penalties assessed, justice, in black and white. So that's it? Genesis asked. It's really over. Almost. I pulled out my phone and opened my email. Mom, Dad, Luca, this is my last message to you. The IRS case is closed. The penalties are set. Whatever happens next is out of my hands. You taught me everything I know about family, about loyalty, about sacrifice, about consequences. So don't be surprised that I learned those lessons well. Dad, you always said actions have consequences. Now you know that includes your actions too. Mum, you always told me family protects family, but you never protected me from them. Luca, you once said I was so fucking perfect. I'm not. I'm just better at learning from mistakes, especially yours. Don't contact me again. Don't look for me. Don't try to make this right. You didn't lose me. You gave me away, piece by piece, year after year. I'm just finally handing back the receipt. Ngri? I hit send, then deleted the email account entirely. Brutal, Genesis whispered. Honest, I corrected, hanging up a new mirror. For the first time in my life, completely honest. My phone buzzed one last time. Simone Cooper. Case closed, justice served, well done. I deleted that too. Standing in my new apartment, surrounded by new things and no history, I felt something unexpected. Peace. Not happiness, not triumph, just peace. Help me hang these curtains? I asked Genesis. You sure you want the blue ones? I'm sure, I smiled. They're exactly what I would choose. And that was the point, wasn't it? Finally choosing for myself? Finally living without their shadow? Finally free. Genesis hugged me suddenly. You know what? You didn't just get revenge. You got yourself back. I hugged her back, looking around at my new life, my chosen life. Want to order pizza and break in my new couch? Obviously. As the sun set outside my new windows, I thought about Dad's letter, about removing myself from the family for good. He had it backwards, though. They removed me long ago, piece by piece, dollar by dollar, lie by lie. I just finally stopped trying to put myself back. The pizza arrived, and Genesis poured wine into my new glasses. No family drama, no manipulation, no theft disguised as love. Just peace, just freedom, just mine. And that was enough. The call came during my shift at the bookstore. Wendy, come home now. Your sister's been in a terrible accident. My mother's voice crackled with hysteria, and my heart dropped into my stomach. I knocked over a stack of romance novels as I grabbed my bag, barely remembering to tell my manager I had a family emergency. I'm Wendy, and that day changed everything. Not because of what actually happened, but because of what didn't happen. I burst through our front door 20 minutes later, chest heaving, expecting to find ambulances, tears, maybe blood. Instead, I heard giggling from the living room. Savannah sat cross-legged on the couch, scrolling through her phone, face perfectly intact. Oh my God, did you literally run here? She smirked, not even looking up. Mum's being dramatic. Elliot just bumped my car at the mall, like, barely. Mum rushed in from the kitchen. Honey, thank goodness you're here. It was horrible. Savannah could have been killed. I stared at my sister's unmarked face, then at my mother's mascara-streaked cheeks. She looks fine to me. The trauma isn't always visible, Wendy, Mum snapped. We're taking her to see specialists tomorrow. That was 3 weeks ago. Today, I'm standing in front of an ATM, staring at my account balance in disbelief. The screen mockingly displays $127.42. Last month, it showed $32,191.65, my entire college fund, 5 years of summer jobs, birthday money, and overtime shifts. Gone. There must be some mistake, I muttered, jabbing at the buttons to refresh the screen. Same numbers. My hands started shaking. I called my father first. "Dad, something's wrong with my account. All my money's gone." Silence. Then, "Come home, Wendy. We need to talk." I found them both in the kitchen. Mum was stress cleaning the counters, and Dad wouldn't meet my eyes. "Where's my money?" My voice came out smaller than I intended. Mum's scrubbing intensified. "We had to use it for Savannah's emergency surgery. The insurance wouldn't cover everything, and you know how important this was for her recovery." "What surgery? She wasn't even hurt." "The accident left her with severe facial trauma," Mum insisted. "The specialist said immediate intervention was crucial. She was on Instagram an hour after the accident, posting selfies." Dad finally spoke up. "Wendy, your sister needed this. Sometimes families have to make sacrifices." "My sacrifices! My money!" I could feel tears burning behind my eyes. "I worked every summer since freshman year for that fund. You promised it was untouchable." "Don't be selfish," Mum hissed. "Savannah could have been disfigured. What kind of sister are you?" "The kind who actually got hurt," I whispered. Savannah chose that moment to float in, wearing her new crop top and looking absolutely untraumatized. "Why is everyone yelling?" "Your sister is being dramatic about the money we needed for your surgery," Mum said, shooting me a warning look. "Oh my God, Wendy, it's just money." Savannah rolled her eyes. "You can always make more. My face is like, literally, my future." I stormed upstairs, slamming my door so hard the family photos rattled. Through the wall, I could hear Savannah's phone chiming with notifications, probably more likes on her latest post. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept calculating the hours I'd worked, the birthdays I'd saved through, the Christmas money from Grandma, all gone for what? I got up around midnight to get some water. That's when I saw it sitting on the kitchen counter, a medical bill that Mum had forgotten to put away. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. Patient, Savannah Ramirez procedure, elective rhinoplasty. Date, 06/15/2023, not reconstruction, not trauma repair, a nose job. The paper crumpled in my fist as 5 years of being the responsible one, the understanding sister, the good daughter, crystallized into something hard and cold in my chest. They hadn't just stolen my money, they'd stolen my future, my dreams, my chance at college. Also, Savannah could get the nose she'd been whining about since she was 14. I smoothed out the paper and took a photo with my phone. Then I put it back exactly where I found it, went upstairs, and opened my laptop. My hands weren't shaking anymore as I started searching for insurance fraud reporting procedures. If they wanted to play with money that wasn't theirs, fine. But they were about to learn that quiet daughters don't always stay quiet, and some debts demand repayment. "Girl, this is insane," Chloe said, squinting at her laptop screen. We were huddled in the back corner of the public library, where the security cameras had a blind spot. "The police report from your sister's accident is public record. Want to see it?" I leaned in closer. "Show me everything." "Okay, so according to this, it happened at 2:47 p.m. in the mall parking lot. Low-speed collision, estimated under 5 pm/km. Single point of impact on front bumper. No injuries reported at scene." Chloe looked up at me. "That's it. That's literally it." "No injuries reported," I repeated slowly. "But my mother screamed about severe facial trauma." "Your mum's always been dramatic, but this is next level." Chloe started typing again. "Let me check something else. When did they file the insurance claim?" 3 days after. I remember because Mum was on the phone all morning with them. Chloe's fingers flew across the keyboard. "I'm in my dad's insurance database. Don't ask how I have his password." She paused. "Oh, wow. Wendy, they claimed over $40,000 in damages and medical expenses for a parking lot bump." My stomach churned. keep digging. Wait, there's another claim from 2 years ago. Similar pattern, minor incident, massive payout. That time it was for Savannah's emergency dental work after she supposedly fell at dance practice. The memory hit me like a slap. That was right after I'd been accepted to the prestigious summer science program at MIT, the one I couldn't attend because money was tight that year. I need copies of everything, I said. Already downloading? But Wendy, Chloe hesitated, this is serious fraud. If you report them, they'll deserve what they get. That evening, Mum insisted on a family dinner, probably to remind everyone how normal and perfect we were. I pushed my food around while Savannah dominated the conversation. My followers are obsessed with my new look, she gushed. This one influencer even messaged me about a possible collab. That's wonderful, sweetie, Mum beamed. The surgery was absolutely worth it, and it was so easy to push the insurance through when you word things a certain way. My phone was already recording in my pocket. I looked up innocently. What do you mean, Mum? Oh, you know, she waved her hand vaguely. Insurance companies always try to lowball you. You just have to know how to present things. Like calling a nose job facial reconstruction? The words slipped out before I could stop them. The table went silent. Dad's fork clattered against his plate. Wendy, Mum's voice turned sharp. We've discussed this. Your sister needed medical intervention after her trauma. Right, the trauma that didn't exist. Stop being such a jealous freak, Savannah snapped. Just because you're boring and basic doesn't mean... Savannah, Dad warned, but I was already standing up. You know what's funny? I said, my voice deadly calm. I found my old acceptance letter to that science camp yesterday, the one I couldn't go to because we couldn't afford it. Guess that money went to Savannah's mysterious dental emergency instead. Mum's face paled slightly. That was different. Your sister needed it more. Yeah, I know. She always does. I walked to the door, then turned back. By the way, I recorded this whole conversation. Just thought you should know. The look of panic that flashed across my mother's face was worth every missed opportunity, every stolen dream. Later that night, my phone buzzed with a text from Chloe. Got something else? Your sister's boyfriend, Elliot, just posted old pics from the day of the accident. Check his Instagram story. There it was, Savannah and Elliot at the mall food court, timestamped 3:30 p.m., less than an hour after the supposed traumatic collision. She was laughing, face perfectly fine, showing off some shopping bags. I saved the screenshots, adding them to my growing collection of evidence. Then I noticed something in my email, a notification about a new claim submission on our family insurance policy. Using Mum's birthday as the password, she used it for everything, I logged in. There it was. They were trying to file another claim, this time backdating medical expenses from before the accident. My hands shook as I took screenshots of everything. They weren't just lying about one claim, they were building a whole false narrative, probably to justify the massive payout they'd already received. A new text from Chloe lit up my phone. Holy shit! Just found out my dad's insurance company has a zero-tolerance fraud policy. One proven false claim, and they investigate everything from the past 5 years. You sure you want to do this? I looked at my empty college fund account, then at the growing folder of evidence on my laptop. Yes, I typed back. It's time they learned that karma accepts receipts. The burner phone felt heavy in my pocket as I sat in the back corner of the library, connecting to their public Wi-Fi. Chloe watched nervously from the next table, pretending to study. I dialed the insurance fraud hotline number. Insurance Integrity Division. How may I direct your call? My heart pounded, but my voice stayed steady. I'd like to report a fraudulent claim. One moment while I transfer you to an investigator. A deeper voice came on the line. This is Investigator Hopkins. What would you like to report? I took a deep breath. I have evidence of multiple fraudulent insurance claims involving staged accidents and falsified medical procedures. Can you provide specific details? A recent car accident on June 15th was inflated from a minor parking lot bump into a major collision with severe injuries. I have police reports, social media posts, and medical bills proving the claimed facial reconstruction was actually elective cosmetic surgery. And you have documentation to support this? Yes, including recorded conversations about intentionally misleading insurance adjusters and evidence of a pattern of similar false claims. 20 minutes later, I walked out of the library with shaking hands. Chloe hurried after me. "Did you really just do that?" "It's done." I dropped the burner phone into a trash can. "Now we wait." "Wendy," Chloe grabbed my arm, "your sister just posted something. You need to see this." She held up her phone. There was Savannah posing in perfect lighting, her new nose front and center. The caption read, "Sometimes accidents are blessings in disguise. Shy glow up, shy new me, shy blessed." The comments were flooding in. "OMG, what happened? You're so brave. That must have been so traumatic." And Savannah's replies, "The accident was terrifying, but I'm stronger now. Thank God for amazing doctors and insurance. Beauty comes from overcoming trauma." "She's really milking this," Chloe muttered. "Screenshot everything," I said. "Every post, every comment, timestamps especially." That evening, Mum was hosting her monthly book club. I could hear them in the living room, wine glasses clinking. "Patricia, your daughter is so inspiring," one of her friends gushed. "Overcoming such a horrible accident." "Yes, we're so blessed," Mum replied. "The doctors said if we'd waited even a day longer for surgery, the damage could have been permanent." I walked past with my laptop, loud enough for them to hear my typing. "Oh, Wendy," Mum called out, "come tell everyone about how brave your sister was after the accident." I paused in the doorway. "Which version should I tell? The real one or the one you reported to insurance?" The room went silent. Mum's smile froze. "Sweetie, you're confused," she said through clenched teeth. "Why don't you go study?" "You're right. I should focus on my future." "Oh, wait." I turned to her friends. "Did you know my college fund paid for Savannah's nose job?" I didn't wait for a response, just walked upstairs listening to the uncomfortable murmurs below. Later that night, Savannah barged into my room. "Why are you being such a psycho?" she demanded. "Mum's friends were totally weird after you left. Do you have any idea how hard this has been for me?" "Hard?" I looked up from my laptop. "Getting exactly what you wanted was hard?" "You don't understand. My old nose was literally ruining my life. And now," she gestured to her face, "I'm finally getting noticed. Real brands want to work with me." "Built on lies." "Why do you care? It's not like you were doing anything important with that money anyway. You were just going to waste it on some boring college." I turned back to my screen. "Get out of my room." "God, you're such a jealous bit." The mail slot downstairs clattered, cutting her off. We heard Mum's sharp intake of breath, then, Calvin, come here now." I walked to the top of the stairs. Mum stood holding a thick envelope marked Insurance Integrity Division, Urgent Notice. "What is that?" Savannah asked. Mum's hands shook as she tore it open. Her face went white as she read. They're investigating our claims," she whispered. "All of them. They want documentation, interviews." She looked up at me. "Someone reported us for fraud." The accusation in her eyes met my blank stare. "Maybe," I said quietly, "they just want to hear the real story." I went back to my room and closed the door, but not before hearing Mum's frantic whisper to Dad. "If this gets out, we'll lose everything." I opened my evidence folder on my laptop and smiled. That's the point. Investigator Hopkins arrived at exactly 9 a.m. on a Tuesday. I was sitting on the stairs, sipping chamomile tea, watching Mum frantically straighten the already straight living room. Mrs. Ramirez. His voice was calm but firm. I'm Ralph Hopkins from the Insurance Integrity Division. We spoke on the phone. Yes, please come in. Mum's customer service smile was plastered on. My husband will be joining us shortly. I caught Hopkins' eye as he entered. His gaze lingered on me for a moment before he followed Mum to the dining room. Dad appeared from his home office, looking like he hadn't slept in days. Now, Hopkins began, spreading documents across our dining table. Let's discuss the accident from June 15th. It was terrible, Mum jumped in. My daughter could have been killed. According to the police report, Hopkins consulted his papers, it was a low-speed collision in a parking lot. No injuries reported at scene. The trauma wasn't immediately apparent, Dad said quickly. I see. Hopkins pulled out his tablet. Yet your daughter posted this selfie 43 minutes after the accident, caption reading, Mall Hall with Bay, no visible injuries. Mum's smile cracked slightly. The damage was internal, which is why you claimed emergency reconstructive surgery. Hopkins raised an eyebrow. I have the medical records here. The procedure performed was elective rhinoplasty. The doctors recommended, Mum started. I have the surgical consultation notes, Hopkins cut in, dated 3 months before the accident. Your daughter was already planning this surgery. The silence was delicious. I took another sip of tea. Savannah! Mum suddenly called upstairs. Come down, please. My sister appeared, looking confused until she saw Hopkins. Her face went pale. Miss. Hopkins turned to her. Could you explain these social media posts? You claimed severe facial trauma, yet your own Instagram shows you at a party the night of the accident. I was being brave, Savannah stammered. And these messages to your followers about your accident recovery journey, dated before the actual accident. Mum stood up sharply. I think we should have our lawyer present. That's your right, Hopkins nodded. But I should inform you that we're also investigating the claim from 2021, the dental work after the dance incident. Dad's hands started shaking. That was different. Was it? Hopkins pulled out more papers. Because we have evidence suggesting a pattern of fraudulent claims, multiple incidents where minor events were inflated into major payouts. This is ridiculous, Mum snapped. We're upstanding members of this community. Who stole my college fund? I said quietly from the doorway. Everyone turned to look at me. Mum's face twisted with fury and fear. Wendy, go to your room. College fund? Hopkins asked. It's not relevant, Dad said quickly. Actually, I stepped into the room. It is. They emptied my account, money I earned working since I was 14, to pay for Savannah's nose job. Then claimed it was for emergency reconstruction after a fake accident. You little snake, Savannah hissed. Hopkins was writing rapidly in his notebook. Miss, would you be willing to provide a formal statement? No, Mum stood up. This meeting is over. We'll have our lawyer contact you. Very well. Hopkins gathered his papers. But I should warn you, we're expanding this investigation. If we find evidence of coordinated fraud, the consequences could include criminal charges. After he left, Mom rounded on me. What did you tell them? Nothing they couldn't find themselves, I replied. Receipts don't lie, Mom, neither do timestamps. Do you have any idea what you've done? Dad's voice shook. We could lose everything. I already did. I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Savannah, you might want to delete those posts about your accident recovery journey. Insurance fraud investigators can be really thorough about social media evidence. I went upstairs to my room, but I could still hear Mom on the phone. Nicole, it's Patricia. Everything's falling apart. If this leaks, if people find out. Oh God, what do I do? My Aunt Nicole's voice carried faintly through the speaker. Maybe you should have thought about that before stealing your daughter's future. I opened my laptop and checked my email. There was a new message from Hopkins requesting a formal interview. Below that was another from the community college I'd applied to as a backup, asking about my financial aid application. My phone buzzed with a text from Chloe. "Holy shit! My dad just said your family's case is becoming a huge deal at the insurance company. They're talking about making an example of repeat offenders." I typed back, "Good." Another text came through, this time from Savannah. "I hope you're happy. You've ruined everything." I looked at my empty bank account one more time, then at the growing stack of evidence on my desk. "No," I whispered. "You did that all by yourself." From downstairs, I could hear Mum crying on the phone. The sound should have made me feel guilty. Instead, it felt like justice. Aunt Nicole arrived like a storm, her heels clicking against our driveway as she marched to the front door. I watched from my window as Mum tried to block her entry. "Not now, Nicole. Move, Patricia." Nicole pushed past her. "Where's my niece?" "Which one?" Mum's voice was bitter. "The traitor or the victim? The only victim I see is the one whose future you stole." Nicole spotted me on the stairs. "Wendy, grab your jacket. We're getting coffee." Mum stepped forward. "She's not going anywhere. We need to present a united front for the investigation." "United front?" Nicole laughed sharply. "Like when you presented a united front about Dad's inheritance? How'd that work out?" Mum went white. That was different, was it? Because it looks like the same Patricia to me. Always taking what isn't yours, always justifying it. 10 minutes later, I was sitting across from Nicole at the local diner, watching her dump sugar into her coffee. "Your mother pulled this same stuff when we were kids," she said. "Always manipulating situations, always making herself the victim. When our dad died, she convinced everyone I was too unstable to handle my share of the inheritance. Sound familiar? She said you were going through a rough time. I was in medical school working my arse off." Nicole stirred her coffee aggressively. "She told the lawyers I was having a breakdown. Next thing I knew, my portion went to her. For safekeeping, never saw a dime." A text lit up my phone. "Savannah, Mum's crying because of you. Again, hope you're proud of yourself." Nicole glanced at the message. "Your sister's just like her, isn't she? Same talent for twisting things." "I didn't want it to be like this," I admitted. "I just wanted justice." Nicole reached across the table, squeezed my hand. "Sometimes justice looks ugly up close." When we got home, 2 more investigators were in our living room. Mum sat rigid on the couch while Dad paced. "Mrs. Ramirez," one was saying, "we've uncovered evidence suggesting coordinated fraud across multiple claims. This goes beyond the recent incident." "My daughter needed medical care." "Your daughter needed a nose job," the other investigator cut in, "which you funded by draining your other daughter's college account, then committed insurance fraud to cover it up." I started to slip upstairs, but Savannah blocked my path. "Why do you hate me so much?" Her voice cracked. "What did I ever do to you?" I looked at my sister, really looked at her. Perfect nose, perfect hair, perfect life, built on lies and stolen dreams. "You never had to earn anything," I said quietly. "Everything was just given to you. My college fund. I worked every summer since freshman year. But you just had to cry to Mum about your nose and poof, my future gone." "It wasn't like that." "Then what was it like? Explain it to me. Explain how your nose job was worth more than my education." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "You don't understand how hard it is being me. No, you don't understand how hard it is being everyone else. We all have dreams, Savannah. We all have things we want. But some of us actually work for them instead of stealing them." "I didn't steal. You knew where the money came from. You knew it was wrong. But you didn't care because you never have to care. That's why I hate you." The investigators appeared in the hallway. "Miss, We'd like to ask you some questions about the previous insurance claims. Savannah's face crumpled. Mum, they can't. I didn't. Actually, one investigator said, we're considering fraud charges against all involved parties, including you, Miss Ramirez. Mum rushed to Savannah's side. She's just a child. She didn't know. These text messages suggest otherwise. The investigator held up a document. You and your daughter explicitly discussed fabricating accident details. Nicole stepped forward. I'm a lawyer. Before anyone answers questions, I suggest. You have no right to be here, Mum snapped. Actually, I said, she's the only one who does. The second investigator cleared his throat. We'll need statements from everyone. And Mrs. Ramirez, your insurance company has already begun proceedings to recover all fraudulent payments, with penalties. Mum sank onto the stairs, her perfect world crumbling. Dad had stopped pacing and stood staring out the window, shoulders slumped. Savannah looked at me one last time, mascara streaking her cheeks. I hope you're happy now. I watched the investigators lead my sister into the dining room for questioning, Nicole following close behind. Not happy, I whispered. Just finally heard. The letter arrived on a Thursday morning. Mum's hands trembled as she opened it. Then she sank into a kitchen chair. $47,000, she whispered. They want $47,000 in fines and repayment, plus potential criminal charges. Dad grabbed the letter. There must be some mistake. The mistake, I said from the doorway, was thinking you'd get away with it. Wendy, Dad turned to me, his voice desperate. Please, you have to help us. Tell them it was all a misunderstanding. Like how my empty bank account was a misunderstanding. Mum stood up suddenly. I raised you better than this vindictive streak. You raised me to be quiet and convenient, I cut in. How's that working out? The doorbell rang. Elliot, Savannah's boyfriend, stood there looking uncomfortable. Is Savannah home? She's not answering my texts. She's meeting with our lawyer, Mum said stiffly. Oh. He shifted awkwardly. Well, could you give her this? It's her stuff from my car. He handed over a small box. After he left, I noticed something fall from the box, a folded paper. I picked it up and my heart stopped. It was a printed conversation between Savannah and Mom, dated before the accident. Savannah. Elliot agreed to bump my car, TMRW, just a tiny hit. Mum. Perfect. Remember what we discussed. Immediate pain, hold your face, mention dizziness. Savannah. Insurance will cover the nose job. Mum. They won't have a choice. Just stick to the story. My hands shook as I took photos of the messages. Upstairs, I could hear Savannah crying on the phone. Elliot, please, I can explain everything. Hello? Hello? She came downstairs later, eyes red. He broke up with me, said he can't date someone who's being investigated for fraud. This is all your fault. Actually, I held up my phone with the screenshots. It's yours. Planning accidents for insurance payouts? That's next level, even for you. Her face went pale. Where did you get that? Name Elliot dropped off your stuff. Guess he kept receipts too. Mum overheard and rushed over. Give me that phone. Too late. I stepped back. It's already backed up and forwarded to Investigator Hopkins. You little... Mum lunged for me, but Dad held her back. Patricia, stop. This isn't helping. Nothing helps, she screamed. Our reputation is ruined. We're facing charges, and it's all because our own daughter betrayed us. No, I said calmly. It's because you got caught. There's a difference. My phone buzzed. A text from Elliot. Found more screenshots between Savannah and your mum. Planning other accidents too. Want them? You've destroyed this family, Savannah sobbed. You know what's funny? I looked at my sister. You could have just asked me. If you'd come to me and said you really wanted this surgery, maybe we could have split my college fund, shared it like actual sisters. But you and Mom had to scheme and steal instead. Dad approached me, his voice low. "Wendy, please, the hearing is next week. If you just tell them you were mistaken." "I already gave them everything I had," I said. "And thanks to Elliot, they're about to get more." Mum collapsed onto the couch. "They're talking about pressing charges against Savannah too. My baby could go to jail." "Should have thought about that before making her your accomplice." The doorbell rang again. This time it was Hopkins with another investigator. "Mrs. Ramirez," he said grimly, "we've received new evidence suggesting premeditated insurance fraud. We'll need you and your daughter to come with us for formal questioning." Mum started crying. Savannah looked like she might faint. "What kind of new evidence?" Dad asked weakly. "Text messages planning staged accidents," Hopkins replied. "Multiple incidents, coordinated deception. This changes everything." I watched from the stairs as they led my mother and sister out to their car. Dad stood in the doorway, looking lost. "Was it worth it?" he asked me quietly. "Destroying your own family?" I thought about all the times I'd stayed quiet, all the dreams I'd sacrificed, all the lies I'd watched them tell. "You know what's funny, Dad? You keep saying I destroyed the family. But a real family doesn't steal from each other. A real family doesn't plan accidents and commit fraud. You and Mom did this. I just exposed it." My phone buzzed again. Elliot had sent the screenshots. Pages of evidence showing Mum and Savannah planning multiple fake accidents, coordinating stories, discussing insurance payouts. I forwarded everything to Hopkins with one message. "Here's the truth you've been looking for." Then I blocked Savannah's number, turned off my phone, and went to pack my bags. Aunt Nicole had offered me her spare room until I figured out my next move. Sometimes burning bridges lights the way forward. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Mum and Savannah sat at the defendant's table, both wearing conservative outfits that screamed good Christian family. Dad slumped in the gallery behind them. I sat with Aunt Nicole on the opposite side. "The state presents evidence of systematic insurance fraud," the prosecutor announced, "spanning multiple incidents over 2 years. On the projector screen, their text messages appeared. "Remember to cry when the police come. Make sure to delete these messages after. We can use Wendy's college fund to cover what insurance won't pay." Mum stared straight ahead. Savannah wiped tears that looked practiced. The prosecutor continued. "Furthermore, we have evidence of the defendants planning staged accidents for financial gain." Elliot took the stand next. He looked different in a suit. "Yes, they asked me to deliberately cause a minor collision," he testified. "Savannah said it was the only way to get insurance to pay for her surgery." Savannah's sob echoed through the courtroom. It sounded hollow. During the recess, Dad approached me in the hallway. "Your mother lost her job," he said quietly. "The PR firm said they can't have someone under investigation for fraud handling client accounts." "That's unfortunate. I've been suspended too, pending internal review." He ran a hand through his greying hair. "We might lose the house." "Maybe Savannah can influence her way into a new one," I replied. Back in session, the evidence kept mounting. Photos of Savannah at parties the night of her traumatic accident. Bank statements showing the transfer of my college fund. Insurance claims filled with lies. The judge's verdict was clear. Guilty on all counts. "Given the premeditated nature of these crimes," she announced, "I'm imposing the maximum financial penalties. Additionally, Mrs. Ramirez will serve 6 months house arrest. Miss Ramirez, given your age and cooperation, you'll receive 2 years probation and community service." Mum's perfect mask finally cracked. But we're respected members of this community." "Not anymore," the judge replied. Outside the courthouse, reporters waited with cameras. Mum covered her face, but Savannah, ever the influencer, tried to pose. "Don't," Nicole snapped at her. "For once in your life, show some dignity." My phone buzzed. It was an email from Savannah's biggest brand partnership. Given recent events, we're terminating all collaboration agreements effective immediately. Our brand cannot be associated with criminal activity. I forwarded it to Savannah without comment. That night, scrolling through local news, I saw the headlines. Local family convicted in insurance fraud scheme. Mother-daughter duo planned fake accidents for profit. College fund stolen for fraudulent cosmetic surgery. Mum's carefully curated reputation was in shambles. Her social circle had evaporated. The country club quietly revoked their membership. Chloe called while I was packing my room at Nicole's. "Girl, you won't believe this. Remember that scholarship essay you wrote about resilience and standing up for truth?" "Yeah?" "The Community College Selection Committee loved it. They're offering you a partial scholarship." I sat down hard on my bed. "How much?" "12,000. Not enough for a full ride, but it's something," I whispered. "It's a start." Later, a text from an unknown number. "Hey, it's Elliot. Thought you should know. Savannah's been telling people you framed her. Nobody believes her, though. The evidence was too clear." I blocked his number too. That evening, Nicole found me on her balcony. "Your mum called," she said, "begging me to convince you to help them appeal." "And?" "I told her she lost the right to ask you for anything when she stole your future." Nicole handed me a glass of wine. "You know, I've waited 20 years to see Patricia face consequences. How does it feel?" I thought about my empty bank account, about the scholarship that wouldn't cover even half of what was stolen, about the family photos I'd packed away. "Not as good as I thought it would," I admitted, "but not as bad either. Justice rarely feels clean," Nicole said, "but that doesn't make it wrong." My phone lit up with a Facebook notification. Mum had posted, "Some betrayals ruin more than just trust. They destroy families. Remember that before you choose revenge over love." I showed Nicole, who snorted, "Still playing victim. Some people never learn." "No," I said, blocking Mum's profile. But I did. The sun was setting over the city. Somewhere across town, Mum was starting her house arrest. Savannah was probably crying over her lost influencer deals. Dad was likely staring at bills they couldn't pay. And me? I was finally free. Not rich, not whole, but free. I picked up my acceptance letter from the community college and smiled. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find out what you're really worth. The moving truck pulled away from Nicole's house as I balanced my laptop on a box, finishing my latest blog post. The piece about family fraud and stolen futures had gone viral, catching the attention of a small publishing house. My phone buzzed. A text from Dad. "Your mother's house arrest ends tomorrow. She wants to see you." I deleted it without responding. Chloe barged in, waving her phone. "Have you seen this? Savannah's trying to rebrand herself as a redemption journey influencer." I looked at the post she showed me. Savannah, makeup-free, staring soulfully at the camera. Learning from my mistakes, growth isn't always pretty. Authenticity, journey, real talk. "At least she's admitting they were mistakes," I said. "Oh, wait till you see the comments," Chloe scrolled down. "People are roasting her. Someone linked your blog post about the fraud." Nicole appeared in the doorway. "Speaking of your blog, check your email." I opened my inbox to find a message from the publishing house. "Your story resonates with thousands who've experienced family betrayal. We'd like to discuss a book deal." "Holy shit," Chloe whispered, reading over my shoulder. "Language," Nicole smiled, "but also, yes, holy shit indeed." The doorbell rang. I opened it to find Savannah standing there, looking smaller without her usual perfect styling. "Can we talk?" I stepped onto the porch, leaving the door open so Chloe and Nicole could hear. "Make it quick." "I lost everything," Savannah said. "My followers, my brand deals, my reputation." You lost things you never earned, she flinched. Mum's different now. The house arrest, it broke something in her. She actually apologized to me yesterday. First time ever. Good for her. She wants to apologize to you too. Savannah pulled out her phone. Look at this text she sent me. I destroyed our family with my pride and lies. Your sister deserved better. Funny how prison time brings out the honesty in people. I'm trying to make it right, Savannah's voice cracked. I got a real job. I'm paying back the restitution. She swallowed hard. I started therapy. I studied my sister's face. The perfect nose that cost me my dreams, but behind it, for the first time, I saw something real. Fear, regret, maybe even growth. Good, I said finally. Keep working on yourself, but not for me. I'm done being your audience. The book deal's confirmed, Nicole called from inside. They're offering an advance. Savannah's eyes widened. You're writing a book? About us? About truth? About consequences? About what happens when the quiet ones finally speak up? Will you? She hesitated. Will you destroy us all over again? You did that yourselves. I'm just telling the story. My phone buzzed with another email. The community college offering me a work-study position in their writing centre. Between that, the scholarship, and now the book advance, I could finally see a path forward. Wendy? Savannah's voice was small. I really am sorry, not just for getting caught, for everything. I looked at my sister, really looked at her. The designer clothes were gone, replaced by simple jeans and a t-shirt. The practiced poses forgotten. Maybe prison wasn't the only thing that could break someone into truth. I know, I said, but sorry doesn't fund college. No, she reached into her bag, but this might help. She handed me an envelope. Inside was a cashier's check, her first 3 paychecks combined. It's not much, but I'm going to keep paying you back every month. I stared at the check. It was barely a fraction of what they'd taken, but it was earned, real. Keep it, I said. Put it toward your therapy. Chloe appeared with a box of my writing supplies. Ready to set up your new office? I turned back to Savannah. Good luck with your redemption journey. I mean that. But my journey is taking me somewhere else. She nodded, understanding finally reaching her eyes. Your blog post. You were right. Still water runs deep. Dewey and Karma, I added, accepts payment plans. I watched her walk away, then went inside to my new beginning. My laptop waited with a blank document open, the first page of my book. I typed the title, The Price of Silence, A Story of Truth, Theft, and Taking Back Your Voice. Nicole squeezed my shoulder. Ready? I looked around at my boxes, my future, my truth waiting to be told. They always taught me to be quiet, I said, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Time to make some noise.
The candles flicker in perfect rhythm with my heartbeat as I watch him from across the table. Clint's cologne mingles with the restaurant's sage butter, and I can already taste the words I've rehearsed 1,000 times. Tonight's the night I tell him I found the perfect venue for our wedding. My phone buzzes. Probably Rosalie checking in. She's been as excited about this dinner as I am. But when I glance down, it's not her name I see. It's Samantha's. And the preview snippet turns my world to ice. Last night was amazing, baby. Can't wait to feel your hands on me, I stop breathing. My fingers hover over the notification, trembling. Part of me wants to throw the phone across the restaurant, pretend I never saw it. But I've always been the type to rip off Band-Aids. I open the message. Last night was amazing, baby. Can't wait to feel your hands on me again. Still can't believe Joanna hasn't figured it out. She's so wrapped up in wedding venues, she probably wouldn't notice if you proposed to me right in front of her. The words blur as tears threaten to spill. I blink them back, my chest so tight it hurts to breathe. Across the table, Clint's talking about some client meeting, completely oblivious to the fact that he just shattered 3 years of trust with one misdirected text. You okay, babe? He reaches for my hand. You look pale. I pull back before he can touch me. His familiar fingers suddenly seem alien, tainted. Those same hands touched her last night. While I was up late comparing flower arrangements, he was... Joanna? His forehead creases with concern. Such a good actor. I'm fine. My voice comes out steady, surprising even me. Just remembered I need to respond to a work email. I scroll up through their message history with numb fingers. Weeks of conversations, photos I wish I could unsee, plans made around my schedule, inside jokes about keeping me in the dark, and Samantha. My stomach lurches. His best friend since college, the woman who helped me pick out engagement rings, who hugged me tight when he proposed, who's been looking me in the eye all this time, playing maid of honor while sleeping with my fiancé. The waiter appears with our entrees. The salmon for the lady and ribeye for sir. Can I get you anything else? Clint beams at him. Actually, could we get another bottle of the Cabernet? We're celebrating tonight. Oh, we'll be celebrating all right, just not the way he thinks. I take a slow sip of water, buying time to steady my voice. You know what? I'm not feeling great. Maybe we should rain check. But he starts to protest, then seems to think better of it. Of course, if you're not well. Let me get the check. I watch him signal the waiter, study the familiar lines of his face. How many times has he looked at me with those warm brown eyes and lied? How many nights did he leave my bed to go to hers? My phone buzzes again. Another message from Samantha. Oops, wrong thread. Delete that. Too late, you backstabbing witch. Ready? Clint stands, holding my coat with that same gentle smile he wore when he promised to love me forever. I let him help me into my jacket, suppressing a shudder at his touch. Let him think I'm coming down with something. Let him believe tonight was just another dinner. But as we walk to the car, my mind is already racing ahead, to the joint accounts we opened for wedding expenses, to the promotion Samantha's up for at work, the one that hinges on her squeaky clean reputation, to all the careful little notes I've kept about their indiscretions, just in case something felt off. I was right. Something was off. And now I'm going to burn their perfect little world to the ground. You sure you're okay? Clint asks as we reach the car. You're awfully quiet. I turn to him with the brightest smile I can manage. Just tired, honey. Take me home? He kisses my forehead, and I let him, even as my skin crawls. Let him think he's won. Let them both think they've fooled me. Because here's the thing about nice girls like me. We're raised to be sweet, to forgive, to take the high road. But what they don't tell you is that even the sweetest honey can attract wasps, and I'm done being sweet. My reflection stares back at me from the bathroom mirror, mascara tracking familiar paths down my cheeks. 3 hours. That's how long I've been locked in here, scrolling through their messages until my eyes burn. Each word is another knife in my chest. A gentle knock breaks my trance. Joe, you've been in there a while, still feeling sick? I splash cold water on my face, erasing the evidence. Just a minute. When I emerge, Clint's waiting with a glass of ginger ale and concern etched across his features. The perfect, caring fiancé. I want to throw the glass in his face. Instead, I take a small sip. Thanks. I think I just need to sleep it off. He tucks a strand of hair behind my ear, and I fight the urge to recoil. Get some rest, babe. I've got an early meeting tomorrow anyway. Yeah, I bet you do. I lie rigid in our bed, listening to him shower and pack his gym bag for morning. Every domestic sound now carries a double meaning. Is he texting her? Planning their next rendezvous? My phone lights up. Rosalie. How'd the venue conversation go? I stare at her message for a long moment before typing, Can you come over tomorrow? Need to talk. Her response is immediate. Of course, everything okay? No. Sleep refuses to come. I watch the numbers on our bedroom clock tick past midnight, then 1, then 2. Beside me, Clint's breathing is deep and even. How can he sleep so peacefully with all these lies between us? At 3 a.m., I give up. Careful not to wake him, I slip out of bed and pad to the kitchen. The apartment feels different in the dark, like all our framed memories are watching me with new eyes. 3 years of photos, smiling faces telling stories I thought I understood. I pull up Samantha's Instagram, masochistically scrolling through her perfect feed. There we are at my engagement party, her arm around my shoulders as I show off the ring. Her caption, so happy for my bestie. Jar future Mrs. Clint. The timestamp hits me like a punch to the gut. She'd already been sleeping with him then. My phone buzzes. A text from Samantha herself. Hey girl, don't forget we're meeting the florist at 10 tomorrow. Can't wait. The audacity steals my breath. I type and delete 4 different responses before settling on, something came up. Need to reschedule. Her reply is instant. Oh no, everything okay? Want to grab coffee and talk about it? I actually laugh out loud, the sound harsh in the quiet kitchen. Talk about what exactly? How you've been fucking my fiancé? A new message appears, from Clint to her, accidentally shared to our linked iPad. Miss you already. Lunch tomorrow? The screen blurs as fresh tears fall. I swipe them away angrily, opening my laptop instead. First order of business, changing all my passwords. Then I start documenting everything. Screenshots, dates, times. The joint account statements showing suspicious charges at hotels. By sunrise, my eyes are gritty, but my hands have stopped shaking. I hear Clint stirring, getting ready for his early meeting. He finds me at the kitchen counter, nursing a coffee. Feeling better? Much. I manage a weak smile. Have a good meeting. He kisses my forehead. Thanks for understanding about last night. We'll do the venue talk soon, promise. The door clicks shut behind him, and I count to 100 before calling Rosalie. She answers on the first ring. I'm already on my way. 20 minutes later, we're sitting on my couch, and I'm showing her everything. Her face grows darker with each revelation. That absolute bastard, she breathes. And Samantha. I always thought she was fake, but this... I don't know what to do, I admit. Part of me wants to just walk away. But then I think about them laughing at me behind my back, planning their perfect little future while I was planning our wedding, and I want to destroy them? Rosalie finishes. Her eyes meet mine, hard and bright. Good. What? They deserve everything coming to them. She grabs my hand, and I'm going to help you deliver it. I stare at her, this friend who's been more like a sister for the past decade. You don't think that makes me a terrible person? Honey, they're the terrible people. You're just making sure karma does her job. She squeezes my fingers. Question is, are you ready to stop being the nice girl they think you are? My phone buzzes again. Another message from Samantha about wedding details. As if on cue, a notification from the joint account pops up. A charge at the hotel where she works. I look at Rosalie, something cold and certain settling in my chest. You know what? I think I am. Morning sunlight streams through my office window as I stare at the email draft I've been crafting for the past hour. My coffee's gone cold, forgotten as I weigh each word carefully. One wrong move could spoil everything. You're here early, Frankie says, dropping into the chair beside my desk. She eyes the darkness under my eyes. Rough weekend? If she only knew. I minimize the email before she can read it. Just couldn't sleep. Wedding stress? She waggles her eyebrows. Or was Clint keeping you up? The innocent question hits like a slap. I force a laugh that sounds hollow even to me. Something like that? My phone lights up. Samantha again. Missing my wedding planning buddy? Lunch today? Frankie catches my expression. Okay, spill. What's really going on? I hesitate. Frankie's not just a coworker. She's become a friend over the past year. More importantly, she knows things about Samantha that could be useful. They worked together before Samantha moved to her current firm. Can we grab coffee, somewhere private? 10 minutes later, we're in the building's deserted courtyard. My hands shake as I tell her everything, watching her face shift from shock to fury. That manipulative little snake, she breathes when I finish. God, this explains so much. What do you mean? Frankie glances around before leaning closer. Remember that huge account Samantha landed last year? The one that got her fast-tracked for partner? I nod. Samantha hadn't shut up about it for months. She didn't land it. She stole it from another associate, forged some documents, took credit for work that wasn't hers. I had proof, but she threatened to ruin my career if I said anything. My mind races. Do you still have this proof? Somewhere. Frankie's eyes narrow. Why? Because Samantha's up for partner next month, and her perfect reputation is everything to her. Understanding dawns on Frankie's face. You're not just walking away, are you? Would you? She studies me for a long moment. The old files are probably still in my cloud storage. Give me a day to find them. Back at my desk, I return to my email draft with renewed purpose. Subject line, anonymous tip, ethics violation. Recipient, managing partner, Samantha's firm. My cursor hovers over the send button. This is it, my first real move. Once I hit send, there's no going back. I click. My phone buzzes immediately. Clint. Hey, beautiful. Dinner tonight? Miss you. Miss me or miss having me fooled? I text back, can't. Girls' night with Rosalie. His response is quick. Have fun. Love you. I want to throw up. Instead, I pull up the joint account records again, documenting every suspicious charge. Hotels, restaurants, jewelry I never received. Each transaction is another nail in their coffin. A knock at my door makes me jump. It's Aaliyah from legal. Got a minute? She doesn't wait for an answer before closing my door. We need to talk about Samantha Shaw. My heart stops. What about her? I know what you're doing. Aaliyah's voice is low, intense. The anonymous email? That was you. I don't know what. Save it. She holds up a hand. I'm not here to stop you. I'm here to help. I stare at her, confused. Why would you help me? Because 3 years ago, Samantha did the same thing to my sister. Different man, same story. Aaliyah's eyes are hard. She didn't just break my sister's heart. She destroyed her career in the process, made sure she'd never work in this city again. The pieces click together. Your sister was Lauren. Aaliyah nods, the associate whose work Samantha stole. My mind spins with possibilities. What exactly are you offering? Information, contacts, whatever you need. She slides a USB drive across my desk. Starting with this, every email Samantha sent from her old work account, including some very interesting exchanges with your fiancé dating back 18 months. 18 months. The words hit me like physical blows. That's before we even got engaged. Why didn't you use this yourself? Statute of limitations on the ethics violation. Plus, it would have looked like sour grapes coming from me. Aaliyah's smile is razor sharp. But from an anonymous source, combined with whatever else you've got, that's a different story. I pick up the drive, feeling its weight in my palm. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just make it count. She turns to leave, then pauses. And Joanna? The thing about people like Samantha? They never think the nice ones will fight back. Use that. I plug in the drive, my screen filling with hundreds of emails, each one a new weapon in my arsenal. They want to play games? Fine. Game on. The clock's steady tick fills my apartment as I sort through Aaliyah's files, each new revelation like another twist of the knife. My laptop screen casts a harsh glow in the darkness. It's well past midnight, but sleep feels impossible. A message from Clint lights up my phone. Working late again. Don't wait up. Working late. Right. I pull up the tracking app I installed on our shared iPad. The blinking dot shows him at the Grand Hotel downtown. Same place he took me for our first anniversary. My hands shake as I open another email thread. This one's from 16 months ago, right after he proposed. Samantha to Clint. She actually thinks I'm helping plan the wedding. If she knew what we did right after she said yes. The wine glass in my hand cracks before I realize I'm gripping it too tight. Red spreads across my palm like blood. My doorbell rings, making me jump. It's almost 1 a.m. Who could... Through the peephole, I see Bryce from work, his usually immaculate suit rumpled. My mentor's face is grave as I open the door. We need to talk, he says without preamble, about what you're planning. My stomach drops. How did you... Aaliyah told me. He steps inside, taking in the scattered papers and glowing screens. She's worried you're in over your head. I can handle it. Can you? He picks up a document, the ethics complaint I'm preparing. Because once you start this, there's no going back. Lives will be destroyed. Careers ended. Are you ready for those consequences? They deserve it. Maybe. He sits heavily on my couch. But revenge is like holding a hot coal to throw at someone else. You'll burn yourself worst of all. So I should just let them win? My voice cracks. Let them laugh about how stupid trusting Joanna never saw it coming. No, but there are other ways. I found more files. I cut him off, pulling up emails on my screen. It's not just Samantha stealing credit for work. She and Clint have been manipulating client accounts, moving money around. Small amounts, but it adds up. Bryce goes very still. You're sure? I've traced the transactions. They've been doing it for months through the firm's trust accounts. I laugh bitterly. Guess they needed funds for all those hotel rooms? He studies the evidence, his expression darkening. This is serious, Joanna. Criminal charges serious. I know. Then you also know that if you use this, there's no controlling the fallout. People could go to jail. Good. Including innocent people who might have unknowingly approved these transactions. That pulls me up short. I hadn't considered collateral damage. Look, Bryce says gentler, I understand wanting justice, but sometimes the best revenge is living well. Walk away, start fresh. My phone buzzes, Samantha posting on Instagram. A photo of her and Clint at the hotel bar, his arm around her waist. Caption, late night work session with the best mentor ever, Zlarp blessed. I turn my phone to show Bryce. Still think I should walk away? He stares at the photo, jaw tightening. They're not even trying to hide it anymore, are they? They think I'm too pathetic to notice, too nice to fight back. I meet his eyes. Are they right? After a long moment, he sighs. No. But if we're doing this, we're doing it smart. No room for mistakes. We? You think I'm letting my best analyst take on corporate fraud alone? He pulls out his phone. I know some people in the SEC. Let me make some calls. Hope flares in my chest. You'll help me? On one condition. His expression is deadly serious. We do this by the book. Everything documented, everything legal. No shortcuts, no matter how tempting. Deal? I think about the other plans I've been considering. The more personal, painful forms of revenge. But Bryce is right. This needs to be bulletproof. Deal. He nods, already dialing. Good. Now show me everything you've found. And Joanna? He pauses. Delete that tracking app. We do this clean, or we don't do it at all. I close the app, watching Clint's location disappear. Bryce is right. I need to be smarter than my anger. My phone lights up again. Another Instagram notification. This time it's an old photo Samantha posted. Me and her at my engagement party, both beaming at the camera. Caption, throwback to the happiest day. Can't wait to stand beside my best friend at her wedding. I show Bryce. They really think they're untouchable. He looks at the photo, then at the financial records spread across my coffee table. Then let's prove them wrong. Properly. I nod, something cold and certain settling in my chest. They want to play at being professional? Fine. Let's get professional. Rosalie's hug feels like armor as I try to stop shaking. We're in her kitchen, and I've just shown her the latest Instagram post. Samantha and Clint at a jewelry store, her trying on rings. The caption, just helping my bestie pick the perfect wedding bands. I'm going to be sick, I whisper. No, you're not. Rosalie's voice is steel. You're going to be angry. I am angry. I'm furious. But it's not enough. I push away from her counter. The SEC investigation could take months. Meanwhile, they're out there flaunting everything, making me look like an idiot. So, don't wait. She pours more wine. You have enough to destroy them both right now. Bryce says we have to do this right. By the book. Bryce isn't the one watching his fiancée parade around with his mistress. Rosalie's eyes narrow. Speaking of which, why is he so invested in helping you? I pause, wine glass halfway to my lips. What do you mean? I mean, he's awfully concerned about how you handle this. Maybe he has his own agenda? It's not like that. He's just looking out for me. Like Samantha was just looking out for you? The words hit like a slap. Before I can respond, my phone rings. Frankie. Turn on channel 6 right now, she says without greeting. Rosalie grabs the remote. The news anchor's voice fills the room. Allegations of misconduct at Preston and Myers law firm. Sources say multiple partners are under investigation for financial irregularities. My heart stops. This wasn't supposed to leak yet. Did you do this? Frankie demands. No, I don't know how. Well, Samantha's having a meltdown at the office. She's convinced someone's out to get her. Is she naming names? Not yet, but Joe? Frankie's voice drops. She's not the only one panicking. Half the senior partners are shredding documents like crazy. I think of Bryce's warnings about collateral damage. What if he was right? My phone buzzes. Speak of the devil. Need to see you. Office. Now. I have to go. I grab my coat. Want me to come? Rosalie offers. I shake my head. I need to handle this. The office is eerily quiet for midday. Bryce's face is thunderous as I enter his office. Close the door. I do. I didn't leak anything. I know. He runs a hand through his hair. Because I did. What? The SEC was dragging their feet, but now? He gestures at his computer, showing dozens of news alerts. Now they have to act fast, before evidence disappears. But you said... I said we do this legally. I never said we couldn't force their hand. He leans forward. But there's something else you need to know. My stomach drops. What? The financial trail? It goes deeper than Samantha and Clint. Way deeper. He pulls up a document. Look who authorized their access to those accounts. A familiar name jumps out. My blood runs cold. No, that's impossible. I'm sorry, Joanna, but Rosalie's signature is all over these documents. The room spins. I grab his desk for support. She's my best friend. Is she, or has she been playing both sides? My mind races back through conversations, subtle suggestions, pushing me toward rash actions. Oh God, I sink into a chair. She's been feeding them information. The question is why? Bryce's voice is gentle. And what are you going to do about it? My phone buzzes. Rosalie, everything okay? Want me to come get you? Another message arrives. Clint, we need to talk. About us. About everything. Then Samantha, I know it was you. Better watch your back. The threats don't frighten me anymore. What terrifies me is how close I came to confiding everything in Rosalie. How many of my plans has she already leaked? Joanna? Bryce prompts softly. What do you want to do? I look at my phone, at the people I trusted most, trying to play me from all sides. Fine. They want to see what happens when nice girls get pushed too far? I meet Bryce's eyes. I want to play them at their own game. He nods slowly. Then let's make sure you win. I silence my phone, ignoring the cascade of messages. They think they know what I'm planning. They don't know anything. Not yet. The engagement party invitation sits on my kitchen counter like a ticking bomb. Rosalie dropped it off this morning. Cream-colored cardstock with gold lettering, celebrating Clint and me. As if nothing's changed. As if she hasn't been betraying me all along. My phone lights up. Samantha. Everything's set for Saturday. Can't wait to toast the happy couple. I bet you can't. A knock at my door makes me jump. Through the peephole, I see Frankie looking nervous. We have a problem, she says as soon as I let her in. Samantha knows about the SEC tip. My heart races. How? Because Rosalie told her. Frankie pulls out her phone, showing me screenshots. They've been working together for months. Look at the dates. The timestamps match perfectly with every major decision I've made about the wedding. Every time I confided in Rosalie, she was reporting back to them. There's more. Frankie hesitates. They're planning something for the engagement party. I don't know what, but another knock cuts her off. This time it's Aaliyah. Good. You're both here. She closes the door firmly. We need to move fast. Bryce just got called into an emergency board meeting. They're trying to pin the financial irregularities on him. What? The room spins. But he's helping me. Exactly. Samantha and her allies are framing it as a vendetta. They've manufactured evidence suggesting he's been manipulating accounts to set them up. My stomach lurches. This is my fault. I dragged him into this. It gets worse. Aaliyah continues. Rosalie's been spotted meeting with the board. She's their star witness. Of course she is. My best friend, the perfect betrayal artist. My phone buzzes. Clint, can we talk, please? It's important. Then Rosalie. Girl, where are you? We need to finalize the party details. And Samantha. Better watch your steps, sweetie. Wouldn't want anything to ruin the big day. Something inside me snaps. No. I stand up, surprising even myself with how steady my voice is. They don't get to win this one. Frankie and Aaliyah exchange glances. What are you thinking? Aaliyah asks carefully. I pick up the invitation, running my fingers over the embossed letters. They want an engagement party? Let's give them one they'll never forget. Joanna, Frankie starts. Listen. I lay out the evidence we've gathered, the financial records, the emails, Rosalie's betrayal. They think they've backed us into a corner, but they've actually given us the perfect stage. Understanding dawns in Aaliyah's eyes. The party. Everyone who matters will be there. Exactly. Board members, firm partners, clients. I smile and it feels dangerous. The perfect audience. It's risky, Frankie warns. If it backfires, then I've lost everything anyway. I meet their eyes, but I'm not going down alone. My phone rings. Bryce, I put it on speaker. They're moving faster than we thought, he says without preamble. The board meeting's a setup. They're voting to terminate me tomorrow. Unless I throw you under the bus. Say you fabricated everything out of jealousy. I close my eyes, pieces clicking into place. That's their play. Discredit you, discredit the evidence. Pretty much. He sounds exhausted. I'm sorry, Joanna, I tried. Don't apologize. I look at the invitation again. Come to the party. What? Trust me, just be there. After we hang up, Aaliyah raises an eyebrow. You sure about this? No. I pull up my email, starting to type. But I'm done playing defense. My phone explodes with messages. Rosalie. Found your dream centerpieces. Samantha. Can't wait to give my toast. Clint. Please call me. We need to talk. I silence them all, focusing on the email. Subject line. Engagement party update. Change of venue. What do you need from us? Frankie asks. Everything. I hit send, watching the invitation to my own destruction wing its way to everyone who's ever underestimated me. And perfect timing. Because here's the thing about nice girls. We know how to plan one hell of a party, and this one's going to be unforgettable. The hotel ballroom sparkles with fairy lights and champagne flutes, a perfect backdrop for destruction. I adjust my cream silk dress, the one Samantha helped me pick out, insisting it made me look innocent and bridal. Tonight, that works in my favor. Everything's ready, Frankie murmurs, appearing at my elbow. Aaliyah has the presentation queued up. I nod, watching Clint work the room. He's wearing the blue tie I gave him for our anniversary, making small talk with board members who have no idea what's coming. Samantha glides past in a red dress that probably cost more than my car, shooting me a sympathetic smile. Nervous, sweetie? Don't worry, I'll make sure everything's perfect. I bet you will. Rosalie appears with champagne. Here's to the happy couple. My hands don't shake as I take the glass. Thanks for everything, Rose. I couldn't have done any of this without you. Her smile flickers, just slightly. She knows me too well not to hear the edge in my voice. The room fills with familiar faces, colleagues, friends, family, all here to celebrate love, all about to witness something very different. Bryce arrives last, nodding almost imperceptibly. Showtime. Clint taps his glass, calling for attention. If I could have everyone's eyes up front. Actually, I cut in, moving to the small stage. I'd like to say something first. He blinks, surprised but pleased, probably expecting some sappy declaration of love. When I discovered my fiancé was sleeping with my maid of honor, gasps ripple through the crowd, I had two choices. I could fall apart, or I could pay attention. Samantha's glass slips from her fingers, shattering on the marble floor. Clint's face drains of color. Paying attention led to some interesting discoveries. I gesture to Aaliyah, who starts the presentation. Financial records fill the screen behind me. Like how my loving fiancé and his mistress have been embezzling from client accounts. The board members straighten, faces hardening, but they had help. I turn to Rosalie, who's already backing toward the door. My best friend, who's been feeding them information while helping them cover their tracks. For a cut of the profits, of course. Security guards, arranged by Bryce, block the exits. That's ridiculous, Samantha sputters. She's clearly unstable. The SEC doesn't think so. I nod to Bryce, who produces official-looking documents. Neither does the ethics board or the police. Clint steps forward, hands raised. Baby, let's talk about this. We're done talking. My voice carries across the suddenly silent room. I have copies of every email, every transaction, every secret meeting, including the ones from before our engagement. He stops cold. Oh yes, I continue, savage satisfaction burning in my chest. I know everything. How you never intended to marry me. How this whole engagement was a cover while you and Samantha moved money around. How you used my wedding planning to explain suspicious charges. You can't prove, Samantha starts. Actually, she can. Every head turns. Frankie steps forward holding up her phone. I've been recording everything, including your confession from last week about stealing my work, and Lauren's, and everyone else you've stepped on. Chaos erupts. Board members demand explanations. Clients call their lawyers. Security moves in as Samantha lunges for Frankie's phone. Through it all, I stay perfectly still, watching my carefully constructed bomb detonate. Joanna. Rosalie's voice breaks as security leads her past. I'm so sorry. Save it for your testimony. Clint makes one last attempt, reaching for my hand. I did love you in my way. I step back, letting him grasp air. Your way wasn't good enough. The police arrive, badges flashing. Samantha's mascara runs as they read her rights. She looks smaller somehow, stripped of her power. You've ruined everything, she spits. No. I smile and it feels like freedom. I just showed everyone who you really are. Bryce appears at my side as they're led away. You okay? Ask me tomorrow. I watch Clint's blue tie disappear through the door, but I think I will be. The room buzzes with shocked conversations and hurried phone calls. My perfectly planned engagement party has become perfectly planned exposure. Every person who needs to witness their downfall is here, recording, remembering. Ms. Lewis, a detective approaches. We'll need your official statement. I nod, suddenly exhausted. It's done. All of it. Aaliyah squeezes my shoulder. Need company at the station? No. I straighten my cream silk dress. No longer innocent, no longer bridal. I can handle this part alone. Because that's the thing about nice girls. We don't just get even, we get better. Dawn breaks over the city as I leave the police station, my heels clicking against empty sidewalks. My cream silk dress is wrinkled, mascara smudged, but I've never felt more polished. My phone, silent for hours during questioning, buzzes to life. Dozens of messages flood in. Colleagues, friends, even Clint's mother expressing shock and support. I ignore them all, opening only one. A news alert about multiple arrests at Preston and Myers. A familiar car idles at the curb. Bryce rolls down his window. Need a ride? Actually, I think I'll walk. The morning air feels clean, new. But thank you for everything. He studies me for a moment. You know, when I first agreed to help, I thought this was about revenge. Wasn't it? No. He smiles slightly. This was about justice. There's a difference. I think about Samantha's face as they led her away. Clint's stammered excuses, Rosalie's tears. The satisfaction I feel isn't hot like vengeance. It's cool and clear, like truth finally surfacing. The board wants to meet with you, Bryce continues, about taking over Samantha's clients. I laugh. Seriously? You proved yourself more competent than half their partners last night. Plus, you've got quite a fan club forming. Seems a lot of people were waiting for someone to expose the rot. I'll think about it. But we both know I won't accept. That firm holds too many ghosts now. My phone buzzes again. Frankie. Breakfast? Aaliyah's buying. This time, I smile and reply, on my way. The diner is nearly empty when I arrive. Frankie and Aaliyah occupy a corner booth, looking as exhausted as I feel. A third person sits with them. Lauren, Aaliyah's sister, the first of Samantha's victims. Hope you don't mind, Aaliyah says as I slide in. She wanted to thank you in person. Lauren's eyes are bright. You did what I couldn't, what none of us could. We did it together. I accept the coffee Frankie pushes my way. All of us. Speaking of together, Frankie pulls out her tablet. You might want to see this. It's an email from one of the board members, announcing an internal investigation into similar patterns at other firms. Apparently, Samantha and Clint's scheme wasn't unique, just the first to be exposed. They're calling it the Nice Girl Rebellion, Aaliyah smirks. Apparently, you've inspired quite a movement. That's not what I intended. No? Lauren's voice is soft. You just wanted your own justice. But sometimes that's enough to show others they can fight too. My phone lights up. A text from an unknown number. My heart stops when I read it. Should have known you'd figure it out. You were always smarter than they thought. R. Rosalie. Somehow messaging from custody. Another text follows. For what it's worth, I really was your friend, until ambition made me forget what that meant. I'm sorry. I stare at the words until they blur. Part of me wants to respond, to ask why, to understand how our decade of friendship meant so little, but some questions don't deserve answers. I delete the messages. You okay? Frankie asks. Getting there. I look around the table at these women who stood beside me, who helped turn betrayal into breakthrough. Actually, I have a proposition for you all. They lean in as I outline my idea, a new consulting firm specializing in corporate ethics and fraud prevention, using our combined experience to help others spot the warning signs we missed. Turn our scars into armor. Aaliyah muses, I like it. More than that, Lauren adds, turn them into shields for others. My phone buzzes one last time. Bryce. Whatever you decide, you've got my reference. And my respect. I think about the woman I was just days ago, planning a wedding built on lies. She seems like a stranger now, someone who measured her worth by others' approval. So, Frankie grins, raising her coffee cup. What should we call ourselves? I look down at my wrinkled cream silk dress, then at these fierce, brilliant women who helped me rise from its ashes. The answer comes easily. Phoenix Partners. Because that's the final lesson about nice girls. We don't just survive the fire, we learn to fly.
You know we wouldn't ask if it wasn't serious, sweetheart. My mother's voice cracked as she reached across the table and grabbed my hand. Her nails were perfectly manicured. Red tips, like always. Her eyes, though, were glassy and wet. Dad sat beside her, silent, his hands clenched in his lap like he was bracing for impact. I looked at both of them, then at the untouched tea in front of me. Something in my gut twisted, but I didn't say anything yet. We're scared, she continued. The bills are piling up, and the insurance is being difficult. Dad finally spoke. It's my heart, Lil. The doctor said I need a procedure, sooner rather than later. My name is Lillian, and I've always been the responsible one. The one who paid her own way through college, who freelanced double shifts to save for a condo, who never asked for help. The one who got the "you're so mature" pats on the back, while my younger brother, Clark, got everything else. Didn't you say it was your back last time? I asked, trying to keep my voice even. Dad shifted. It's both now. Things are deteriorating. And the hospital won't cover it? They're dragging their feet, Mum said, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. We're drowning, honey. We didn't know who else to turn to. I sat back in my chair, heart pounding. $32,000. That's what I had in my savings. It was supposed to be my down payment, my escape plan, my future. Clark doesn't have anything, I asked, and immediately regretted it. Mum's face hardened. Clark's still trying to find steady work. He's not in a position to help. Right, I said, biting my tongue. Dad cleared his throat. We hate to ask, Lil. We really do. But if there's any way you could help, even just a portion, we'd pay you back, every cent. I looked at them. My parents, aging, desperate, eyes full of pleading. And despite the warning bells in my head, despite the memories of Clark borrowing my laptop and selling it in high school, despite the time Mum guilt-tripped me into paying her credit card minimum just this once, I nodded. I'll transfer it tonight, I said quietly. Mum let out a sob and threw her arms around me. You're saving us, she whispered. You're saving your father. Dad looked at me with watery eyes and nodded. Thank you, baby girl. You're our rock. I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. Later that night, I stared at my bank app for a long time before I hit send. The number blinked at me like a dare. $32,000, gone in a single tap. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just closed the app and laid back on my bed, staring at the ceiling. For the first time in weeks, I slept through the night. 3 days later, I was waiting for my coffee order when I opened Instagram, just killing time. I wasn't expecting anything, but there it was. A photo, champagne flutes clinking, a yacht in the background, my mother in oversized sunglasses, laughing, My dad in a linen shirt, holding a cigar. Clark, of course, front and center, shirtless with his arms out like he was the king of the damn world. The caption read, "Hospital gowns traded for Italian ones. You're blessed a pal family trip?" My thumb froze. My stomach dropped. I blinked, thinking maybe I was seeing things. I clicked on the tag. Athena's profile, Clark's girlfriend, the kind of girl who posted 5 times a day and thought filters were a personality. Her latest story was a boomerang of them boarding a boat, complete with a pre-Europe vibes sticker and a song I didn't recognize. I clicked the comments. "Your sister really is that gullible, haha." Clark had replied with a laughing emoji. "I don't remember walking out of the coffee shop. I don't remember getting into my car. I just remember sitting in the driver's seat, phone in my lap, staring at the screen like it had personally punched me in the face. They lied. They lied to me. They looked me in the eye, cried, begged, and stole from me. Not borrowed, stole. I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. My vision blurred. I couldn't breathe. I thought about the time I was 10, and Clark broke Mum's favourite vase. She found me in the living room and slapped the back of my head before I could even explain. "Don't lie," she said. "Be better than this." I thought about the time Clark crashed my car, and they made me apologise for leaving it out where he could take it. I thought about every time I swallowed my anger, every time I played the good daughter, the responsible one, the fixer, and I thought about that $32,000. Every hour I worked, every weekend I skipped plans to save, every time I said no to myself so I could say yes to a future. Gone. I should have called them. I should have screamed. But I didn't. Instead, I closed the app. I wiped my face. I drove home. That Sunday, I showed up for dinner like I always did. I brought dessert. I complimented Mum's new dress. I asked Dad how he was feeling. And when Clark walked in, grinning like the smug little prince he's always been, I smiled right back. "Oh, Lil," he said, throwing an arm around me. "You're seriously the best sister in the world." "Thanks, Clark," I said, pouring him a glass of wine. "I try." I watched them eat. I watched them laugh. I watched them toast to good health and new adventures. And I smiled, because I knew something they didn't. They thought I was the same girl who always forgave, who always gave in. They were wrong. They just didn't know it yet. I couldn't stop scrolling. Every tap of my thumb felt like a punch to the gut, but I couldn't stop. Athena had posted a full album now, 12 photos of their Bon Voyage bash, one of Clark in designer sunglasses, throwing cash in the air like he was in a rap video, another of my mom sipping champagne in a silk robe, my dad asleep on a beach chair, sunburnt and snoring, and then the one that broke me. It was a group shot, the whole family minus me posing on the yacht's deck. The caption read, "Nothing like family." I stared at it until the screen blurred from the tears I refused to let fall. I clicked the comments. "Where's your sister?" someone asked. Athena had replied, "She's more of a homebody. She couldn't swing it, financially." Clark had liked the comment. I dropped my phone on the couch and stood up too fast. My chest felt tight, like someone had wrapped a belt around my ribs and started pulling. I stormed into the kitchen, opened the fridge, closed it again. My hands were shaking. I gripped the counter, trying to breathe. The worst part wasn't the money. It wasn't even the lie. It was the joke. The way they laughed about it. Like I was some pathetic joke in their group chat. The gullible sister. The one who always believed their sob stories. The one who paid and stayed behind. My phone buzzed. "Cecilia," I picked up. "Hey," she said. "You okay? You sound like you're breathing through a straw." "They used me," I said, voice flat. "They stole from me and then posted it like a vacation ad." There was a pause on the line. "What are you talking about?" I told her. Everything. The fake medical bills, the yacht, the comments, Clark's emoji. I didn't even realise I was pacing the kitchen until I bumped into the table. "Lil," she said slowly, "you need to come over?" "I can't. I'll cry or scream or both." "Good. Do it here. I've got wine and a punching pillow." I laughed, but it came out like a cough. "I don't know what to do." "Don't do anything yet," she said. "Just feel it. Then we'll figure it out." I hung up.
and sank onto the floor. The tile was cold. My cheeks were burning. I thought about when I was 8, and Clark had stolen the $20 I'd saved from birthdays. I found the empty envelope under his bed. When I told Mum, she said, "He's your brother. Don't be petty." I thought about when I got into college and no one came to move me in because Clark had a very important soccer tryout the same day. I thought about every time they made me feel like a burden for asking for fairness. And I thought about that comment again. She's more of a homebody. She couldn't swing it financially. I stood up. No more crying, no more pacing, no more swallowing it. I grabbed my phone and went back to the post. I stared at Clark's smug face and tapped on his profile. His bio read, entrepreneur, dream chaser, family first. I nearly threw the phone across the room. Instead, I hit the message button, but I didn't type anything. Not yet. The next night, I sat at the dinner table again. Mum had made her famous roast. Dad was already on his second glass of wine. Clark was scrolling through his phone like he hadn't just posted my betrayal to the internet. "So," I said, cutting into my food. "How's your heart, Dad?" He blinked. "Oh, better. The meds are helping." "Thought you needed surgery?" Mum jumped in. "Well, we got a second opinion. Turns out we might have overreacted. You know how hospitals are." Clark snorted. "You should have seen Mum when the yacht rocked. She screamed like the boat was sinking." Everyone laughed, except me. I smiled. "Glad you're feeling better." Clark looked up. "You okay, Lil?" "You've been quiet." "Just tired," I said. "Work's been crazy." "Still doing those app things?" "Yep." He shrugged. "You should take a break sometime. Come to Europe with us next month." I tilted my head. "Oh, you're going again?" "Yeah," he said, grinning. "Athena's planning the whole thing. First class, baby. Italy, Greece, maybe Spain. Depends on the vibe." Dad chuckled. "We're just tagging along. She's got the itinerary down to a science." Mum reached over and patted my hand. "You should come, sweetheart. We'll figure something out." "Thanks," I said. "But I'm still recovering from the last medical emergency." Clark snorted into his drink. Mum's smile faltered. "Well, health is priceless, right?" I nodded. "So is trust." The silence that followed was sharp. I stood and started clearing the plates. "Don't worry," I said over my shoulder. "I'll clean up." It was the least I could do. After all, I had a plan to make, and I needed them to keep thinking I was the same gullible little girl who'd always clean up their messes. Because revenge tastes better when it's served with a smile. "You want to do what?" Reuben asked, blinking at me from across the table. We were at a small cafe downtown, the kind with chipped mugs and indie music playing too loud. He was still wearing his accountant badge on a lanyard, half tucked into his shirt. I could tell he thought I was joking. "I want to give them a credit card," I said, sipping my coffee. He leaned back, eyebrows raised. "After they conned you out of 32 grand, you want to hand them more money?" "Not exactly. I want to hand them a leash." He stared at me for a second, then let out a low whistle. "Okay, walk me through it." I pulled out a folder from my bag and slid it across the table. I open a new emergency card under my name, low limit. 5 grand, tops. I attach it to a separate account, one I control. I'll tell them it's for medical expenses, just in case something comes up while they're travelling. Reuben flipped through the papers. His eyes scanned fast. "You want to track their spending?" "More than that," I said. "I want to bait them, let them get comfortable, let them think I'm still the same old Lillian." He looked up. "And then?" I leaned in. "Then I pull the rug." Reuben set the folder down and rubbed his jaw. "You know this is walking a fine line, right? Legally, you're not doing anything wrong. Morally, I'm not stealing from them," I said. "I'm just letting them expose themselves." He studied me for a moment. "You always were the quiet one." "But damn," I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. "Are you sure you're ready for what happens if you go through with this?" he asked. "No," I said, "but I'm doing it anyway." He nodded slowly. "All right, I'll help you set it up. But you need to document everything. Emails, texts, receipts, screenshots. Keep a paper trail." "I already started," I said, pulling out a small notebook from my bag. Every lie, every post, every time they mention a fake doctor's appointment. He gave a short laugh. You're scarier than I remember. Good. We spent the next hour going over the logistics. By the time I left the cafe, the card was in the works and the account was ready. I walked home with my hands deep in my coat pockets, heart pounding like I'd just pulled off a heist. The next day, I showed up at my parents' house with a small envelope. What's this? Mum asked, flipping it over. Just something to help, I said. It's a backup card, for emergencies, real ones. Her eyes lit up. Lillian, you didn't have to do that. I wanted to, I lied. Just in case you need medication or a cab to the hospital or whatever. Dad took the envelope and peeked inside. You're too good to us. I smiled. I just want you to be safe. Clark walked in from the kitchen, chewing something. What's that? Emergency card, Mum said, waving it. Clark raised an eyebrow. Nice. Can I use it for my back pain? Might need a massage in Santorini. Everyone laughed. I laughed too. That night, I opened my laptop and logged into the account. No charges yet. I clicked through the settings, set up alerts for every transaction, and linked it to a spreadsheet Ruben had built for me. Then I opened a new folder on my desktop and labelled it. Receipts. The next few weeks were a masterclass in acting. I helped them pack. I drove them to fake doctor's appointments. I listened to Mom lie about follow-ups and specialists and nodded like I believed her. I even brought soup one night, just to sell it harder. Every time Clark bragged about the trip, I smiled and asked questions. What airline? Which hotel? Oh, that sounds amazing. Meanwhile, Athena's Instagram was a gold mine. She posted everything. Flight confirmations, luggage hauls, spa bookings. She even tagged the hotel they'd be staying at in Rome. I took screenshots of everything, dated them, filed them. Cecilia called me every night. You okay? She'd ask. Getting there, I'd say. You're holding a lot in. I know. You don't have to be strong every second. I know. One night, Mum called me crying. I just wanted to say thank you, baby. We'd never survive without you. I had my phone on speaker, the recorder app running. You don't have to thank me, I said gently. I'm just glad I can help. You're a blessing, she said. Clark says so too. I hung up and stared at the wall for a long time. This wasn't about money anymore. It was about dignity. They took mine, and I was going to take it back, inch by inch, lie by lie. The next morning, I got my first alert. $87.50, high-end spa. I smiled. The card was live. The game had started. Can you drive us to the clinic next Tuesday? Mum asked, folding another sundress into her suitcase. I nodded. Of course. What time? 9:30. It's just a check-up for your dad. Nothing major. Dad walked by holding a pair of swim trunks. Should I pack the red ones or the navy? Mum didn't miss a beat. Red. They pop in photos. I held back a laugh. For the clinic. She froze for a split second, then smiled. No, for the trip. After the appointments. Right, I said, zipping up the side of her luggage. Gotta look good for recovery. Clark strolled in, shirtless as usual, sunglasses on his head, like he was already in Ibiza. You all packed, Ma? Almost. Just making sure we've got everything. Lillian's helping. Clark smirked. Of course she is. I didn't respond. I just folded another blouse and laid it on top of her jewellery case. I booked our massages for day 2, he said, checking his phone. And Athena wants to do a wine tour in Tuscany. She's calling it Content with Culture. Dad chuckled. As long as there's wine, I'm in. Mum turned to me. You sure you don't want to come, honey? It's not too late. I'll be here, I said, holding down the fort. Clark threw an arm around me. You're the real MVP. I smiled and patted his back. Someone's got to be. Later that afternoon, I drove them to the clinic. It was a beige building in a strip mall, wedged between a vape shop and a nail salon. Mum had me drop them off at the front, saying the appointment would take a while. I parked around the corner and waited. 10 minutes later, I watched them walk out the back door and into a rideshare. I snapped a photo from my car. I followed the app on my phone as the card pinged another charge. $42.75 at a seafood bistro downtown. I took a screenshot. That night, I FaceTimed Cecilia. They faked a doctor's appointment and went to lunch, I said, showing her the photo. She raised her eyebrows. They're not even trying to hide it. They think I'm still blind. And you're just keeping cool. Barely. She leaned in. You're playing a dangerous game. I know. Do you feel better? No, I said. But I feel clearer. The next few days were more of the same. Can you pick up Dad's prescription? Mom texted. Of course, I replied. I drove to the pharmacy, asked for the name, and got a confused look from the cashier. There's nothing under that name, she said. Maybe it hasn't been filled yet, I said, smiling. Thanks anyway. I walked out and made another note in my journal. Entry 17, non-existent prescription, confirmed lie. That night, Clark called me. Yo, Lil, you still have that emergency card? Yeah, why? Just making sure. Athena wants to book a last-minute facial before we fly out. Says she's breaking out from stress. I bit my lip. Is that a medical emergency? He laughed. You're hilarious. I didn't laugh. Yeah, it's fine, I said. Just keep it under 500. Cool. You're the best. Another ping came through an hour later. 312 girls' orders. Luxury skincare boutique. I didn't even flinch. The night before their flight, I helped them load the car. Don't forget your passport, I said, handing it to Mum. I'd lose my head if it wasn't attached. She joked. Dad kissed my cheek. We'll bring you something nice. Clark tossed his suitcase into the trunk. Don't miss us too much. Athena pulled up in her convertible, snapping selfies as she got out. Ready to jet set? She squealed. Always, Clark said, grabbing her waist. I took a step back and watched them pose together. Group photo, Athena called. Mum waved me over. Get in, Lil. I smiled and held up the phone. I'll take it. Say, scam de luce. Everyone laughed. I took the photo, then another, then one more for good measure. Then I walked over, hugged Mum tightly and whispered, Be safe. She squeezed my hand. We'll call you from Rome. Dad gave me a thumbs up. Thanks for everything, sweetheart. Clark winked. Don't spend all your time working while we're gone. Athena blew me a kiss. Love you, girl. I waved as they drove off. Then I pulled out my phone and opened the folder. Screenshots, photos, receipts, notes. I clicked record on a voice memo and said, Final prep complete, departure confirmed, card active. I ended the recording and saved it. The next morning, I got a text from Ruben. All systems green. You ready? I typed back. Let's do this. The trap was set. Now all I had to do was wait for them to walk into it. Athena's voice blasted through my phone speaker before I even opened the app. First class, baby! Rome, here we come! Her Instagram story was a blur of designer luggage, boarding passes, and Clark doing a stupid little dance in front of the airport lounge sign. My parents were in the background, Mom adjusting her scarf, Dad sipping something from a paper cup with that smug, retired golfer on vacation look. I paused the video and zoomed in on the boarding pass. Delta, Flight 214, Gate B12, departing 6:45 p.m. Gotcha. I opened the emergency card app. They'd been busy. A $1,200 charge at a boutique hotel near LAX. Another $300 on travel upgrades. And then the one I'd been waiting for. $600 for a last-minute luxury car rental. I smiled and tapped the flag transaction button. The app asked for a reason. I selected unauthorized use. Then I hit confirm. A few seconds later, a fraud alert email popped into my inbox. Subject: Suspicious activity detected on your emergency card. Perfect. I grabbed my keys and headed out the door. Cecilia called as I pulled into the rental car lot across from the airport. You sure you want to do this? She asked. I'm not doing anything illegal, I said. Just letting the system work. You're sitting in a parking lot watching your parents get flagged by airport security. Technically, I'm watching from a legal distance. She sighed. You're scaring me a little. I'm scaring myself a little. A pause. Do you want me to come? No, I said. This part, I need to do alone. I hung up and stared at the terminal in the distance. Inside, my family was probably laughing, sipping overpriced wine, and filming more content for Athena's followers. I opened Instagram again. She just posted a new story. OMG, our flight is delayed, but at least we're vibing in the lounge. Cheetah, first-class problems, I tapped through. Then I froze. The next clip was a shaky video of a man in a security vest walking up to them. Athena's voice. Wait. What? Clark. Is this a joke? Mum. There must be a mistake. My daughter gave us that card. The camera panned to Dad, who was red in the face and fumbling through his wallet. Then the story cut off. I refreshed the app. A new story popped up. Athena, whispering into the camera, wide-eyed. Y'all, we just got pulled aside because of a flagged card. They're saying it's fraud. Like, what the actual... Clark's voice in the background. Are we getting arrested? I took a deep breath and leaned back in my seat. My hands were shaking. Not from guilt, from adrenaline. My phone buzzed. Blocked number. I let it ring once, twice. Then I answered. Lillian? Mum's voice snapped through the line. What did you do? Hi, Mum. Don't play dumb with me. The card was declined, security flagged us, and now we're being told the account might be frozen. What is going on? I'm sure it's just a misunderstanding, I said, keeping my voice calm. You know how banks are. Don't you dare, she hissed. You gave us that card for emergencies. I did. And now we're stuck at the airport with no way to pay for anything. Sounds like an emergency, I said. Maybe try calling the hospital. There was a pause. Then, you ungrateful little... I hung up. A text came in a second later. Clark. What the hell is wrong with you? I didn't reply. Another one followed. Clark. You're ruining everything. You're jealous. That's what this is. I turned off my phone. I sat in that car for another hour, watching the sun dip behind the terminal and the planes take off, one by one. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt empty, like I'd just burned a bridge I'd spent my whole life trying to build. But then I thought about the $32,000. I thought about every lie they told, every time they made me feel small, every Instagram post that mocked me. And I remembered why I had to do this. Not to ruin them, but to stop letting them ruin me. I turned my phone back on. Athena had posted again. A blurry selfie in front of the airport bathroom mirror. Caption, OMG, deceit in the air. I stared at it for a long time. Then I opened the Notes app and typed, Phase 2, complete. Next stop, the reckoning. From the parking lot, I could see the terminal's glass front lit up in the late evening sun. People wheeled suitcases, hugged goodbye, rushed through sliding doors. I stayed in my car, engine off, phone in hand. Ruben's name lit up my screen. I answered. Talk to me. They've been pulled from the gate, he said. Security flagged the card, and when they tried to use another one, it declined too. I guess your dad's gambling caught up. I blinked. Wait, what? Yeah. I ran a light check on his accounts like you asked. His main card's frozen for unpaid debt. Looks like the airline wouldn't let them board without another form of payment. I stared at the terminal. So? They're grounded. They're not just grounded, Ruben said. They're humiliated. Athena was live streaming when it happened. What? Check her page. I opened Instagram. Sure enough, there she was. Shaky footage, her voice high and panicked. I can't believe this. They flagged our card, and now we're being escorted out of the lounge like criminals. This is insane. Camera pans to Clark, red-faced and yelling. Call my sister. She did this. She's insane. My mother's voice cuts in, shrill. We're not criminals. That's our daughter's card. The video ends with Athena turning the camera on herself. This is so embarrassing. I'm literally shaking. I exhaled slowly. They're unraveling. Ruben chuckled. You wanted karma. Looks like it showed up early. Where are they now? From what I can tell, they're at a motel across the freeway. One of those budget ones with a flickering sign. They tried booking somewhere nicer, but, you know. I looked down at my hands. They were steady now. Thanks, Reuben. Be careful, Lil, he said. They're not going to take this lightly. I'm not afraid of them anymore. I hung up and started the car. It took me 5 minutes to pull into the cracked parking lot of the motel. The sign buzzed overhead. Vacancy flickering like a dying firefly. A couple argued near the vending machine. Somewhere, a baby cried. I spotted them instantly. Clark was pacing outside room 12, phone pressed to his ear, yelling into the receiver. Mum sat on a plastic chair, arms crossed, sunglasses on even though the sun was nearly gone. Dad leaned against the wall, rubbing his temples. Athena was nowhere in sight. I parked across the lot and waited. Watched. Clark threw his phone down and kicked a trash can. She's not answering. She better answer, Mum snapped. This is her fault. Dad muttered something I couldn't hear. I got out of the car and walked straight toward them. Mum spotted me first. She stood up so fast the chair tipped over. You, she hissed. What did you do? I stopped 3 feet from them. I gave you a card for emergencies. You used it for spa days and car rentals. Clark stepped forward. You set us up. No, I said calmly. You set yourselves up. I just kept the receipts. I pulled a manila folder from my bag and handed it to Mum. What is this? She snapped. Proof of everything. The fake appointments, the charges, the screenshots, the lies. She opened it, flipping through pages. Her hands started to shake. Clark snatched it from her. This is insane. You stalked us? No, I said. I watched. There's a difference. Dad looked up at me. You humiliated us. You stole from me, I said, voice rising. You lied to my face. You cried in my living room and told me Dad needed surgery. You drained my savings and laughed about it online. Clark threw the folder to the ground. Papers scattered across the concrete. You're bitter, he spat. You've always been bitter because you're boring and alone. I smiled. And you're broke and grounded. He lunged at me. Dad grabbed his arm. Clark, stop! Mum was crying now, mascara running. We're your family. You taught me that family means loyalty, I said. But only when it benefits you. Clark pulled away from Dad and grabbed a plastic cup from the ground. He hurled it at me. It bounced off my shoulder. Then he picked up a glass ashtray from the windowsill and threw it. It shattered at my feet. I didn't flinch. I looked at the shards, then back at him. That's the last thing you'll ever throw at me. Without another word, I turned and walked back to my car. Behind me, Mum was sobbing. Clark was yelling. Dad was silent. I got in, shut the door, and drove away. I didn't look back. Not once. The motel room door creaked open before I even knocked. Mum stood there, eyes puffy, hair a mess, makeup smeared like war paint. She looked 10 years older than she had 2 days ago. You came back, she said, surprised. I'm not here to fight, I said. I'm here to finish this. She stepped aside. I walked in. The room smelled like mildew and fast food. The curtains were drawn tight. Clark sat on the bed, arms crossed, face hard. Dad was by the window, staring out like he might escape through the glass. No one said anything. I dropped a second folder onto the table. This one was thicker. Clark scoffed. Another presentation? This one's got everything, I said. The bank statements, the flagged charges, the screenshots from Athena's stories, the messages, even your comment about me being gullible. Mum sat down slowly and opened the folder. Her hands trembled as she flipped the pages. Where did you get all this? She asked. I documented everything, I said. Every lie, every swipe of that card, every fake appointment. You gave me all the material, I just organised it. Clark stood up. You're insane. You've lost your mind. No, I said. I finally found it. Dad turned around. What do you want from us? An apology? You've made your point. I looked at him. I want accountability. Clark laughed. You want us to grovel? Is that it? No, I said. I want you to hear yourselves. I want you to sit in this room and realise you've hit rock bottom because of your own choices, not because of me. Mum wiped her face. We were desperate. No, I said. You were greedy. You saw my savings and thought, why not? She won't fight back. Dad sat down, rubbing his temples. We didn't think it would go this far. Of course not, I said, because I've always cleaned up the mess, paid the bills, smiled through the insults, but not this time. Clark picked up the folder and threw it across the room. You're pathetic. I turned to him. You're 25 and living off your parents' lies. You think you're untouchable. You think being loud makes you right. But you're not special, Clark. You're just spoiled. He lunged forward. Say that again. Sit down, Dad snapped, standing up. Clark froze, shocked. I said sit down, Dad repeated. You've done enough. Clark backed off, fuming. Mum looked at me, eyes glassy. We didn't mean to hurt you. You didn't care if you did, I said. She covered her face with her hands. I thought we could fix it later. You thought I'd forget, I said. Like always. The room went quiet. I walked over to the nightstand and pulled out a small envelope. Inside was a printed letter. I handed it to Mum. What's this? She asked. A list of every dollar you took, with interest. I'm not expecting repayment, but I want you to know what it cost me. She unfolded it slowly. Her lips moved as she read. Her face crumpled. I was going to buy a condo, I said. I had a plan, a future. You stole that from me. Clark muttered, You're so dramatic. I turned to him. You're so irrelevant. He stood up again, but this time no one stopped him. He grabbed his phone and stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Dad sat back down, exhausted. What happens now? You stay here, I said. You figure out how to get home. You live with the consequences. Mum looked up. And you? I go back to my life, I said, without you in it. Her mouth opened, then closed. She looked like she wanted to beg, but she didn't. I walked to the door. I loved you, I said, hand on the knob. I still do, but I won't let you keep hurting me. I opened the door. Behind me, Mum whispered, I'm sorry. I didn't turn around. I walked out into the night, the air cool and sharp. The glass from Clark's earlier tantrum still glittered on the pavement. I stepped over it. My hands were steady. My heart was pounding. But I was free. The pizza box steamed on my tiny kitchen counter, and Cecilia popped open a bottle of wine with a dramatic flourish. To new beginnings, she said, raising her glass. I clinked mine against hers. To quiet. We sat on the floor because I didn't have a couch yet. My new apartment was small. 1 bedroom, no balcony, no dishwasher. But it was mine. The walls were bare. The air smelled like fresh paint. And the silence was the kind that didn't suffocate. Cecilia took a bite of pizza and looked around. It's cute, minimalist, very, I burned my past and now I sleep peacefully. I laughed. That's the vibe I'm going for. She leaned back on one hand. How are you really feeling? I hesitated. Lighter, but not happy? Not yet. Because of them? No, I said. Because of me. Revenge felt good in the moment, but it didn't fix the hole they left. She nodded slowly. You did what you had to do. I know. My phone buzzed on the counter. I didn't move. Cecilia glanced at it. Them? Probably. I blocked their numbers, but Clark keeps trying from random ones. Athena too. Still, I shrugged. Last one said, You ruined our family. Hope you're proud. Cecilia scoffed. They ruined themselves. I took a sip of wine. I don't think they'll ever see it that way. She watched me for a second. Do you want them to? No, I said. I just want them far away. She raised her glass again. To boundaries. To boundaries, I echoed. We ate in silence for a while. The city buzzed outside, but in here it was calm. Eventually, Cecilia stood and stretched. I should head out. You need sleep. Thanks for coming. Always. She hugged me tight. You're not alone, okay? I know. After she left, I stood at the window and looked out at the streetlights. Cars passed below, headlights casting slow-moving shadows on the walls. I picked up my phone and opened Instagram one last time. Athena had posted a new story, a moody black and white selfie, captioned, Can't trust anyone, even family. So I clicked on the comments. Clark had written, Still not over it, but I got what I deserved. I stared at it. Then I opened my photo gallery, selected every picture of my family, and hit delete. One by one, they vanished. I closed the app, I turned off the phone, and I breathed.
The doctor's words hit me like a physical blow. Talia, delaying your next treatment isn't an option. The risks are too high. I stared at my phone's banking app, refreshing it again and again, as if that would somehow make the numbers change. But the trust fund balance stayed mockingly low, $740,013. Yesterday, it had been $50,000, my safety net, my lifeline, my next 3 rounds of treatment. My name is Talia, and I've spent 26 years learning that chronic illness is expensive. But I never thought I'd have to learn that lesson from my own family. Mom? My voice shook as I called her. The trust fund, Grandma's medical trust fund. It's empty. There must be some mistake. The pause on the other end lasted a beat too long. Oh, honey, we meant to tell you. We had to borrow it temporarily for Stuart's wedding. You know how these things are. The room started spinning. Borrow? Mom, that money was for my treatments. My doctor just said, don't be dramatic, sweetie. We're family. We share. Stuart needs this wedding to be perfect. Francesca's family has expectations. Besides, he promised to help with your medical bills once he gets his bonus. I gripped the phone tighter. When? The treatment can't wait that long, and that money wasn't yours to take. Talia. Her voice turned sharp, the way it always did when I didn't fall in line. Your brother is getting married. This is his moment. Stop being selfish. Selfish? The word tasted bitter. Where was sharing when I needed help with college, when I couldn't work full-time because of flare-ups? That was different. Stuart had such potential. And I don't? You know, that's not what I meant. But it was exactly what she meant. It always had been. I hung up and drove straight to their house, my hands trembling on the steering wheel. Dad answered the door in his reading glasses, looking startled to see me. Princess, we weren't expecting you. The trust fund, Dad, $50,000, gone. He removed his glasses, rubbing the bridge of his nose. We did what we had to for Stuart. These things cost money. My treatments cost money. That's why Grandma set up the trust in the first place. Mom appeared behind him. Lower your voice, the neighbors will hear. Good, let them hear how you stole from your sick daughter to fund your golden boy's Instagram wedding. Now that's enough. Dad's voice rose. We didn't steal anything. We're your parents. We made a decision. A decision about my medical care without even telling me? Stop being dramatic, Mom snapped. Stuart needs this. Do you know how many followers Francesca has? This wedding will put our family on the map. I laughed, hollow and harsh. Right, because that's what matters. Not the fact that I might end up in the hospital, but how many likes your precious Stuart gets. You always do this, Mom said, shaking her head. Every time something good happens for your brother, you find a way to make it about you. The familiar ache in my joints was nothing compared to the pain in my chest. When has anything ever been about me? We've sacrificed everything for you. Do you know how much your treatments have cost us over the years? That's why Grandma left the trust fund, because she knew you'd always put him first. Mom's face hardened. Your grandmother didn't understand family loyalty. No, I whispered. She understood it perfectly. I turned to leave, but Mom grabbed my arm. This conversation isn't over. You need to understand. Don't touch me. I jerked away. You know what? You're right. This conversation isn't over, but it will be soon. Back in my car, I caught sight of something poking out of my oversized purse, the corner of an old leather-bound journal. Grandma's journal. I'd grabbed it this morning while looking for bank statements, but hadn't opened it yet. Something tugged at my memory. A conversation with Grandma near the end, when she'd made me promise to read everything she left behind. There are protections in place, she'd said, squeezing my hand. When you need them most, you'll find them. I pulled the journal into my lap, and a folded letter slipped from between its pages. Legal letterhead. My hands trembled as I opened it. Dear Mrs. Annika Crawford, this letter confirms the special provisions we discussed regarding the medical trust fund. My phone buzzed. A text from Stuart. Mom's upset. Stop making everything difficult. It's my wedding. I looked at the letter again, then at his text. For the first time in years, I smiled. My hands shook as I read the letter again in my apartment, hardly daring to believe what I was seeing. The legal language was dense, but one paragraph stood out like a neon sign. In the event of misuse or unauthorized withdrawal of funds from the medical trust by the designated trustees, Peyton and Thaddeus, all inheritance rights shall immediately transfer to beneficiary, Talia, including but not limited to property, investments, and liquid assets currently valued at approximately $350,000. I grabbed my phone and Googled the lawyer's name, Carmen Wong. Her office was still at the same address listed on the letterhead. 20 minutes later, I sat in a sleek downtown office, clutching Grandma's letter while Carmen reviewed it. I remember this clause clearly, she said, adjusting her glasses. Your grandmother was very specific about her concerns. Did she know? I leaned forward. That they would do this? Carmen's expression softened. She knew your parents' patterns. She wanted to protect you. Can they fight it, if I pursue this? She shook her head. The language is ironclad. We made sure of that. Your parents signed acknowledgement of these terms when they became trustees. She pulled up documents on her computer. Look, their signatures, right here. My phone buzzed. Mom again. We need to discuss your attitude about the wedding. Family dinner tonight. I ignored it. What do I need to do? Carmen started typing. I'll prepare the paperwork. We'll need bank statements showing the unauthorized withdrawal, proof it was used for the wedding rather than medical expenses. She paused. Are you sure you want to do this? It will change everything. They already changed everything when they took that money. She nodded. Give me an hour to prepare the documents. But Talia? Her eyes met mine. Once we file this, there's no going back. Back home, I stood staring at the wedding invitation, mocking me from my fridge. Gold embossed letters announced Stuart and Francesca's dream wedding. Below it, a handwritten note from Mom. Wear something slimming, dear. Photos are forever. My phone rang. Stuart. What's your problem? He demanded before I could speak. Mom's crying because you're being difficult about the money. That money was for my treatment. Oh, please, you're always sick. I'm getting married. This is important. And my health isn't? Don't be dramatic. I told you I'd help once I get my bonus. Family helps family. I laughed bitterly. Really? Where was that attitude when I needed help with tuition, or when I couldn't work during my flare-ups? That was different. I had potential. Say that again, Stuart. Say exactly what you mean. He sighed dramatically. Look, just come to dinner tonight. Mom wants to smooth things over. She's making your favorite. My favorite is salmon. Mom's making your favorite. Beef stroganoff. She always makes your favorite. Whatever, just be there, and try not to ruin everything for once. I hung up and called Carmen instead. I have the papers ready, she said. But there's something else you should know. The rehearsal dinner venue? Your parents put a deposit down 3 months ago, right before they drained your trust fund. My stomach lurched. They planned this. There's more. They've already listed their house for sale. Quietly, but it's on the market. I think they knew they'd have to pay the money back eventually. So they just decided to gamble with my health in the meantime? I'm so sorry, Talia. I looked at the wedding invitation again. The rehearsal dinner was in 2 days at the Crystal Ballroom. All of Francesca's influencer friends would be there, broadcasting every moment. Carmen, how fast can we file these papers? We could have everything ready by tomorrow morning. But again, are you certain? My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Dinner at 7. Wear something nice. Stuart's bringing Francesca. I thought about all the times I'd sat quietly, swallowing my pain while they celebrated Stuart. All the times they'd dismissed my illness as inconvenient to their perfect family narrative. I'm certain, I said. But let's wait to file until the morning of the rehearsal dinner. I want to give them one last family meal. Talia, they always said timing is everything, right? Well, I'm finally learning from their example. After hanging up, I texted Mom back. I'll be there, and don't worry, I'll be wearing something perfect for the occasion. The revenge forming in my mind wasn't pretty, but then again, neither was stealing from your sick daughter to fund your golden child's wedding. Sometimes karma needs a little push, and Grandma had given me exactly the shove I needed. I smiled at the invitation one last time before ripping it off the fridge. Time to RSVP properly. They did what? Ramona slammed her coffee mug down so hard that several cafe patrons turned to stare. Tell me you're joking. I shook my head, pulling out my old journal. Look at this entry from when Stuart graduated college. I flipped to the page. May 15th. Stuart got a BMW for graduation. Mom says they'll help with my community college once they recover from the car payments. And did they? What do you think? I worked 2 jobs between flare-ups to pay tuition. Ramona's eyes narrowed. Show me more. I turned more pages. Here's when I got diagnosed. Stuart had a football game that day. Guess where they were? No. Mom said they'd catch up on the medical stuff tomorrow. They didn't want to disappoint his coach. I remember that day, Ramona said quietly. I'm the one who drove you home from the hospital. And now this. I showed her the trust fund statements. $50,000 gone for his Instagram-worthy wedding. To that influencer girl who keeps posting about authentic living while hawking diet tea. Francesca herself, who, by the way, has no idea they took my medical fund for her perfect day. Ramona leaned back, crossing her arms. So, what's this plan you mentioned? I pulled out Carmen's paperwork and explained the inheritance clause. Ramona's eyes grew wider with each detail. Holy shit, she whispered. Your grandmother was a genius. She knew them better than anyone. I sipped my now cold coffee. The rehearsal dinner is tomorrow night. All of Francesca's influencer friends will be there, live streaming everything. You're going to do it there? In front of everyone? They care so much about appearances? Fine, let's give them something to see. Ramona grabbed my hand. Talia, are you sure? This will nuke your entire family. What family? The one that's been treating me like an inconvenient footnote my whole life? I pulled out my phone, showing her recent texts. Mom, don't forget dinner tonight. Stuart has big news about the wedding. Try to be enthusiastic this time. Stuart, hey sis, can you not mention the trust fund thing at dinner? It's bringing down the wedding vibe. Dad, Princess, your mother's upset. You know how she gets. Just apologize so we can move forward. See? They're not even sorry. They just want me to shut up and play my role. The quiet, sickly sister who shouldn't make waves. Damn. Ramona shook her head. Show me more of these journal entries. I flipped through pages. Stuart's college graduation party versus my quiet diploma arrival in the mail. His promotion celebration versus my first remission milestone. Every family photo where I was positioned at the edge, easy to crop out. Remember this one? I pointed to an entry from last year. When I asked for help with rent during my bad flare-up. What did they say? That they were saving for Stuart's future, had to make sure he could afford a house in the right neighborhood once he proposed to Francesca. Ramona's face darkened. The same money they're now spending on his wedding instead of your treatment? Bingo. My phone buzzed again, a wedding planning group text I hadn't asked to join. Francesca. Final seating chart for tomorrow. Everyone check your tables. Mom. Oh, add Talia to table 12 in the back. Almost forgot. Stuart. Maybe by the kitchen? The lighting's better for her complexion. Ramona read over my shoulder and swore. Table 12? By the kitchen? Are you kidding me? I smiled grimly. Don't worry, I won't be sitting there long. What do you need me to do? Just be ready with your phone. Record everything. I want a record of their faces when they realize what Grandma did. And after? When it all blows up? I touched the journal's worn cover, thinking of all the pain documented inside. After? I start living without their shadow over me. I get my treatment. I stop being the family afterthought. They'll never forgive you. They never saw me anyway. I stood up, gathering my things. Besides, as they love to say, family comes first. I'm just finally putting myself first in my own family. Ramona hugged me tight. I'm proud of you. And I bet your grandmother would be too. My phone buzzed one last time. Mom. Darling, I've adjusted the seating chart. Table 11 instead. You'll be with Stuart's old college friends. Please try to keep the health talk to a minimum. It makes people uncomfortable. I showed Ramona the message. See? Always hiding me away. Well, tomorrow night I'm done being invisible. Tomorrow then, Ramona said, her eyes fierce with loyalty. We make them see you. I touched my grandmother's letter in my bag. Tomorrow we make them remember me. Hold still, Talia. Mom fussed with my bridesmaid dress. Really, if you'd just lost those 5 pounds like I suggested. We were at the final fitting, the day before the rehearsal dinner. Francesca twirled in her designer gown while her friends live-streamed everything. The dress fits fine, Mom. Fine isn't good enough for Stuart's big day. She yanked the zipper harder. Everything needs to be perfect. Francesca floated over, her diamond ring catching the light. Oh my God, Talia, you look nice. We can totally brighten this up with some contouring makeup. I'll have my glam squad help. Thanks, I muttered, watching Mom beam at Francesca like she'd offered me a kidney. Speaking of help, Stuart chimed in from his phone scrolling perch. I was thinking about your medical stuff, sis. Once I get my bonus next quarter, I could probably chip in a bit. I met his eyes in the mirror. A bit of the 50,000 you borrowed? The room went silent. Francesca's perfectly shaped eyebrows drew together. What 50,000? Nothing, darling. Mom cut in smoothly. Just some family business. Talia, come help me with these alterations. She dragged me to the fitting room, hissing under her breath. Are you trying to ruin everything? Like you ruined my treatment schedule? Don't be dramatic. Stuart will help once he's settled. Family takes care of family. Is that what this is? Taking care of family? Her fingers dug into my arm. You know what? Don't come to dinner tonight. You're clearly not in the right headspace to be supportive. Fine by me. I peeled off the dress, ignoring her protests about being careful with the fabric. My phone buzzed. Carmen. Legal documents are ready, her text read. Filing first thing tomorrow. Are you sure about the timing? I looked up to see Francesca doing another twirl for her live stream. Perfect timing, I texted back. Talia, Mom called. At least come say goodbye to your brother. I walked out in my regular clothes. Stuart barely glanced up from his phone. Hey, try not to be such a downer tomorrow, okay? It's kind of my big day. Don't worry, I smiled. I've got something special planned. Back home, I opened my email to find Carmen's presentation, a simple, devastating PowerPoint that laid out every detail: the trust fund withdrawal, the timing of the wedding deposits, the inheritance clause, all of it. My phone lit up with a text from Francesca. Bridesmaid brunch tomorrow before rehearsal. Don't be late, I replied with sugary sweetness. Wouldn't miss it for the world. Can't wait to see what surprises tomorrow brings. Ramona called moments later. Everything set? Carmen's got the papers ready? You got your phone charged for recording? Girl, I got 2 backup batteries. I'm not missing a second of this. I laughed, then stopped suddenly as another text came through, from Dad this time. Princess, your mother's upset. Says you were difficult at the fitting. Remember when you were little and had stage fright at the school play? I told you then. Sometimes we have to put on a brave face for the people we love. My hands shook as I typed back. I remember, Dad. I also remember being in the hospital while you and Mom were at Stuart's football game. Guess we all have different memories. He replied instantly, That's not fair. We did our best. No, you did your best for Stuart. I got whatever was left over. We made sacrifices you don't understand. Like sacrificing my health for his wedding? No response. Ramona was still on the line. You okay? They still think they did nothing wrong. I said quietly. They really believe they're the heroes of this story. Well, tomorrow they find out they're the villains. You ready? I opened my closet, where a sleek black dress hung ready. Not the pastel bridesmaid monstrosity, something elegant, sharp, memorable, perfect for delivering life-changing news. You know what's funny? I told Ramona. They always taught us that actions have consequences. They just never thought the consequences would be for them. My phone buzzed one last time, a group text from Mom. Final rehearsal dinner schedule. Everyone please arrive by 6 p.m. sharp. Talia, dear, I've seated you with the photographer. Try to smile naturally this time. Your last family photo was a bit strained. I showed Ramona the message. She swore colorfully. Oh, I'll give them a photo to remember, I said, touching the folder of legal documents on my desk. Tomorrow they'll finally see me clearly. And the photographer will capture every moment. Perfect? I smiled. After all, as Mom always says, photos are forever. The crystal ballroom sparkled with enough opulence to fund several rounds of my treatment. Champagne towers caught the light, custom topiaries spelled out S&F, and a drone buzzed overhead, capturing every calculated moment. Talia? Mom's voice was artificially bright. You're early, and you changed your dress? Didn't want to strain the photos. I smoothed my black silk dress, simple, elegant, deadly. It's a bit severe. She frowned. And you're supposed to be in pastels like the other bridesmaids. I'm not a bridesmaid anymore, remember? Table 11 by the kitchen. Before she could respond, Francesca's voice rang out. Everyone, places for the entrance video. I watched my parents rush to position themselves perfectly for the cameras. Stuart and Francesca made their entrance, her white designer dress practically glowing under the professional lighting. Family photo time, the photographer called. Oh, Talia, Mom waved dismissively. We'll catch you in the next round. I sat at my assigned table, surrounded by Stuart's old college friends who barely acknowledged me. My phone buzzed. Ramona had arrived. In position, she texted. Camera ready. The toast began. Mom stood first, champagne glittering. Family is everything, she declared, voice thick with emotion. Everything we do for family. My stomach turned. Dad followed. We're so blessed to have both our children here tonight, he said, then added with a laugh, though one of them made this day possible. Stuart's friends snickered. One leaned over to me. Hey, you're the quiet one, right? The sick sister? I smiled tightly. Not quiet. Just waiting for my turn. More toasts followed. Stuart's college roommate. To the golden boy, always knew you'd do something amazing, Francesca's maid of honor. To the most perfect couple, living their best life. Each word felt like another brick in the wall they'd built to hide me behind. Anyone else? The MC asked. I stood up. Mom's face went pale. Talia, sit down, she hissed. This isn't the time. Actually, Mom, it's exactly the time. I walked to the microphone, aware of every camera tracking me. I'd like to share something about family. Stuart shifted uncomfortably. Francesca's live stream kept rolling. When my grandmother was dying, I began. She told me something important about family, about protection, about love. I pulled out my phone, opening Carmen's presentation. She also left me a trust fund for my medical treatments. The room went silent. Mom stood up, but Dad grabbed her arm. $50,000, I continued, set aside specifically for my health care, but 3 months ago, that money disappeared. I clicked to the next slide, bank statements. Transferred to pay for this wedding. Francesca's perfect smile faltered. What trust fund? The same day they paid the deposit for this venue, I clicked again, showing the dates. My parents drained my medical fund without telling me, without asking me. Talia, stop this right now. Mom's voice shook, but Grandma was smarter than anyone knew. Another click. The inheritance clause appeared on the massive screen behind me. She put in a special provision if the trust was ever misused. Don't you dare! Dad stood up. All inheritance rights would transfer to me. Everything. The house, the investments, all of it. I smiled directly into Francesca's live stream camera. The paperwork was filed this morning. The room erupted. Francesca's influencer friends started filming frantically. Stuart's face went from red to white. You're lying, Mom said, but her voice cracked. Carmen? I called out. Would you like to confirm? Carmen stood up from her table, legal documents in hand. The transfer is complete, Talia. It's all legally yours now. You stole from me, I said, looking at my parents. You gambled with my health for his perfect wedding. So now, you lose everything. This is my rehearsal dinner, Stuart shouted. You're ruining everything. No, I said calmly. I'm just finally showing everyone the truth about our perfect family. Mom lunged for the microphone, but in her rush, she tripped over an elaborate flower arrangement. Roses scattered across the floor as she fell, her designer dress hiked up, her carefully crafted image shattered. How dare you, she sputtered from the floor, after everything we've done for you. Everything you've done? I laughed. Let's talk about everything you've done. But before I could continue, Francesca's voice cut through the chaos. You used stolen money for my wedding? She turned to Stuart. Did you know about this? His stammering response was all the answer she needed. I stepped away from the microphone, nodding to Ramona, who was capturing everything. The drone overhead kept buzzing, documenting the implosion of my family's carefully constructed facade. The truth hurts, doesn't it? I said softly. Almost as much as watching your daughter suffer while you plan the perfect party. Then I walked out, leaving chaos in my wake. Behind me, I heard Francesca's voice rising. Turn off the live stream. Turn it off now. But it was too late. The truth was already out there, recorded forever, just like Mom always wanted. Talia, please, Mom's voice echoed across the parking lot. Let us explain. I kept walking, my heels clicking against the asphalt. Behind me, the crystal ballroom's doors burst open again as more people spilled out. "You've destroyed this family," Stuart shouted. "Are you happy now?" I turned around. "Destroyed it? You mean like you destroyed my health care? It was just money." He ran his hands through his perfectly styled hair. "We would have paid it back." When? After I ended up in the hospital? After irreversible damage was done? Francesca appeared, mascara running. "My followers are going crazy. Do you know what this will do to my brand?" "Your brand?" I laughed. "That's what you're worried about?" 300,000 people watched that live stream. She thrust her phone at me. Comments were flooding in. "OMG, did they really steal from their sick daughter?" "Rich people are trash. Karma is real, y'all." Dad pushed through the crowd. "Princess, please, we can fix this." "Fix what, Dad? The trust fund? My health? Or just the family's reputation?" "All of it." Mom grabbed my arm. "We'll sell the house. We'll get you your money back." Too late. I pulled away. Carmen already filed the paperwork. The house is mine now, along with everything else. "You can't do this to us." Stuart stepped forward. "We're your family." "Family?" I pulled out my phone. "Let me show you something about family." I played the video Ramona had compiled. Years of missed birthdays, hospital visits alone, celebrations centered around Stuart while I sat in the background. Photos of the BMW they bought him while I worked 2 jobs, screenshots of text messages dismissing my health concerns. "Stop it," Mom whispered. "Why? Isn't this the perfect family you wanted everyone to see?" Francesca's photographer was still snapping pictures. The drone hummed overhead. "Turn those cameras off!" Stuart lunged for the photographer, but Ramona stepped between them. "No way," she said. "Let's document everything. Isn't that what your mom always wanted?" More guests emerged, phones recording. Francesca's influencer friends were already posting live updates. "The wedding's off," Francesca announced suddenly. I can't be associated with this." "Franny, baby, wait." Stuart chased after her, leaving me facing my parents. "What do you want?" Mom's voice was hollow. "What will it take to fix this?" "Fix this?" I stepped closer. "You want to know what would have fixed this? Being there when I got diagnosed instead of at Stuart's game, helping with my college instead of buying him a car, not stealing my medical fund for his wedding." "We did the best we could," Dad pleaded. "No, you did your best for him. I got whatever was left over." I turned to leave. "Now you get to see how that feels." "Where are you going?" Mom called out. "To schedule my treatment. You know, the one I had to delay because you emptied my trust fund?" "But the house," Dad said. "Where will we live?" "You should have thought about that before you gambled with my health." I reached my car. "I hear there are some nice rental properties near the hospital. You know, the one I've been going to alone all these years." "Talia, please." Mom's voice cracked. "We're still your parents." I paused, hand on my car door. "You know what Grandma told me before she died? She said sometimes the kindest thing a parent can do is let their child face the consequences of their actions." I met her eyes. "Consider this me being kind." "You'll regret this," Stuart called out, having given up chasing Francesca. "You'll be alone." "I've always been alone," I replied. "You all just never noticed." Ramona appeared at my side, phone still recording. "Need a ride?" "No." I smiled. For once, I know exactly where I'm going. As we drove away, my phone exploded with notifications, messages from relatives, Francesca's followers, local news wanting comments. But only one message mattered, from Carmen. "Papers are filed. It's done. Your grandmother would be proud." In my rearview mirror, I could see my family growing smaller, Mom being consoled by her friends, Dad staring blankly at nothing, Stuart arguing with Francesca's family. The perfect image they'd worked so hard to maintain was shattered, scattered like the roses from Mom's fall. "You okay?" Ramona asked softly. "No," I answered honestly. "But I will be." My phone buzzed one last time. A text from Stuart. "You've ruined everything. I hope you're happy." I typed back, "Not happy, just finally free." Then I blocked his number, along with my parents. The time for family drama was over. I had a treatment to schedule and a new life to build, one where I finally put myself first. Behind us, the crystal ballroom's lights grew dim, and with them, the last remnants of my family's perfect facade faded into the night. The IV dripped steadily as I sat in the treatment chair, finally getting the medication I'd been forced to delay. My phone, silent for days since I'd blocked my family, suddenly lit up with Carmen's name. "The house sale is final," she said when I answered. "Your parents moved out yesterday." "Where did they go?" "A rental apartment across town. Stuart's staying with them temporarily. Francesca officially called off the wedding." I watched the medicine flowing into my veins. "Have they tried to contest the inheritance?" "They can't. The clause was ironclad, and they signed acknowledgement of it. Besides," she paused, "the social media fallout has them laying low." She wasn't kidding. Francesca's live stream had gone viral. Toxic family karma was trending, with my story becoming a cautionary tale about family betrayal. My nurse, Maria, came to check my vitals. "How are you feeling?" "Better than I have in weeks." I managed a smile. Amazing what proper medical care can do. "Your friend is here." She nodded toward the door where Ramona stood, holding coffee. "Brought you something better than hospital sludge," she said, handing me a cup. "Also, you might want to see this." She showed me her phone, a local news article about my parents listing their country club membership for sale. The comments section was brutal. Karma comes for everyone eventually. Imagine stealing from your sick kid for a wedding. Rich people, problems meet real consequences. "Stop." I pushed the phone away. I didn't do this for revenge. "No?" Ramona raised an eyebrow. "I did it because I had to. Because if I didn't stand up for myself now, they'd never stop." My phone buzzed, an email from Dad bypassing the block. "Princess, your mother's not eating. Stuart lost his job. The viral story scared his company. We're selling everything we can. Please, can we talk? We're still family." "Dad," Ramona read over my shoulder. "Are you going to respond?" "No." I deleted the email. "They're not starving. They're just not rich anymore. Welcome to how the other half lives." Maria returned with more medication. "Your numbers are looking better already. The regular treatment schedule will make a huge difference." "Thank you." I hesitated. "Actually, I have a question. That patient support group you mentioned last time, the one for people struggling to afford treatment? The Women's Health Coalition? They're always looking for donors." I pulled out my laptop, opening my banking app. The inheritance money sat there, $350,000, more money than I'd ever had access to. Can I make an anonymous donation? 3 clicks later, $50,000 was transferred to the coalition, the exact amount they'd stolen from me. "Poetic," Ramona commented. "Grandma always said money shows who you really are." I closed the laptop. They showed who they were when they took it. I'm showing who I am by giving it. My phone buzzed again. Stuart this time, from a new number. "You won. Happy?" "Mom's crying every day. Dad's selling his golf clubs. I'm sleeping on their couch. Hope you enjoy your revenge." Ramona grabbed my phone before I could respond. "Let me handle this." She typed, "Enjoy the couch." "Talia enjoyed working 2 jobs through college while you got a BMW. Karma's funny that way." Then she blocked his new number. "You didn't have to do that," I said. "Yes, I did, because you're still trying to be nice, and they don't deserve nice." The treatment machine beeped, signaling the end of today's session. As Maria removed my IV, she handed me a pamphlet. "The coalition's next meeting," she said. "They could use a speaker who understands both sides of the healthcare struggle." I took the pamphlet, thinking of all the other people out there fighting battles like mine, people whose families might not understand, or care, or help. I'll think about it. Later that night, alone in my apartment, I opened my grandmother's journal one last time. A photo fell out, me and her in the hospital during my first diagnosis. She was holding my hand, looking at me instead of the camera. While my parents were at Stuart's game, she had been there, seeing me. My phone buzzed with a final email from Mom. "We're your parents. We loved you the best we could. One day you'll understand. And forgive us." I touched the photo of Grandma, remembering her words. "Love isn't just a feeling, dear. It's a choice we make every day in how we treat people." I typed back one last message. You're right. I do understand. You chose Stuart every single day, in every single way. Now I'm choosing myself. Goodbye, Mom. Then I deleted her email address and closed my grandmother's journal. Outside, the city lights twinkled like stars, and for the first time in years, I could breathe freely. Sometimes the heaviest chains are the ones we're born into. But Grandma had given me the key to break free. Now I just had to learn to walk without the weight. I never thought I'd be standing here, I said into the microphone, facing the packed room at the Women's Health Coalition meeting. But someone wise once told me that our stories have power. Ramona gave me a thumbs up from the back row. Next to her, Carmen nodded encouragingly. My grandmother left me two things when she died: a medical trust fund and the courage to use it. When my family stole that fund, they thought they were just taking money. But they were taking my health, my autonomy, my right to exist as more than an inconvenience. The room was silent, dozens of women leaning forward in their chairs. But she left me something else too, a way to fight back, not just for me, but for all of us. I clicked to the next slide, a photo of the new treatment center wing funded by the inheritance money. The Annika Crawford Memorial Wing shown in elegant letters above the entrance. Every room in this wing will provide subsidized treatment for patients who can't afford it. Because healthcare isn't a privilege, it's a right. After the speech, a young woman approached me, clutching her own medical papers. My parents said my treatments were too expensive, that I should just try being positive instead. I handed her my card. Call this number tomorrow. We'll get you started. My phone buzzed, a text from Maria, my nurse. First round of patients coming in tomorrow. You did good, kid. Outside, Ramona waited by her car. Ready for dinner. Carmen's meeting us there. 1 second. I checked my email one last time. A message from Stuart sat unopened. Found Mom crying over old photos. She finally admitted what they did to you was wrong. Dad's talking about counseling. I never saw it before, how they treated you. I'm sorry. Really sorry. If you ever want to talk. You going to answer him? Ramona asked. Not today. I put my phone away. Maybe not ever. Some bridges stay burned. At the restaurant, Carmen raised her glass. To Annika, she knew exactly what she was doing. To Grandma, I agreed, the only one who ever really saw me. Speaking of seeing things, Ramona pulled out her tablet. Look what Francesca posted. A new video. My journey to understanding privilege and family toxicity. 8 million views. At least someone learned something, Carmen mused. They all did, I said. Mom and Dad lost their status. Stuart lost his perfect life. They finally know what it feels like to struggle. And you? Ramona asked. What did you learn? The waiter brought our food, salmon, my actual favorite, not the stroganoff my mother always claimed I loved. I learned that sometimes the family you're born into isn't the family you need. Sometimes you have to build your own. Speaking of building, Carmen pulled out some papers. The foundation paperwork is ready. Once you sign, the Annika Crawford Medical Fund will be official. I took the pen, thinking of all the other patients out there, fighting battles like mine. The inheritance money would fund treatments for years to come. Perfect timing, Ramona said. Maria texted. They have 3 new patients already approved for subsidized care. My phone buzzed again. Another email from Mom. Saw the new hospital wing. Your grandmother would be proud. I wish we had been. Delete. You know what Grandma told me once? I signed the foundation papers with a flourish. She said sometimes the strongest families aren't the ones we're born into, but the ones we choose to build. I looked around the table, at Ramona, who'd always had my back, at Carmen, who helped me fight, at the foundation papers that would help others fight too. To chosen family, Carmen raised her glass again. To karma, Ramona added with a wink. To Grandma, I finished, who taught me that the best revenge isn't punishment, it's living well and helping others live better too. Outside, the hospital wing's lights glowed in the distance. Tomorrow it would open its doors to its first patients, people like me who needed help and hope. My phone lit up one last time, a message from Maria. First patient tomorrow is a young girl. Her parents chose a vacation over her treatment. Sound familiar? I typed back, tell her she's not alone anymore. Tell her she's finally somewhere she'll be seen. Then I looked at my chosen family around the table and smiled. They always said blood is thicker than water, but sometimes water is exactly what you need to wash away the past and nurture something new to grow. Ready to go? Ramona asked. Big day tomorrow. I stood up, leaving my phone and its unanswered family messages on the table. Yeah, time to help someone else become visible. Because sometimes the best way to heal isn't to fix what's broken, but to build something entirely new from the pieces.